Hello and welcome to Jets Chaos. It's the Wacky Wednesday with Jeremy and Watts K99 show. But is it? We'll find out. Where are you, man? Dude. Uh I might be by myself, I'm not sure. We'll find out right after this.
Don't not be Thibodeau. And here it comes, it's about to come in. Oh my God! They didn't. They took Sauce Gardner. Oh my God, they don't want an edge. Maybe he likes Jermaine Johnson at 10. Then we're not going to get a wide receiver?
Garrett Wilson, wide receiver. Oh my God, no edge.
Who's sitting there?
The Jets traded up. The Jets traded up. Are we taking JJ? Are we taking JJ? Because I know Braden is in New Zealand saying, we should get Yuli, Mike. He's definitely saying that. JJ! We got Johnson! We got Johnson at 26! We got Johnson at 26! This is great! Yes! They took Roger McCreary, they didn't take Dean, and we traded up. We can get Jacoby Dean. We can get Jacoby Dean. It really is. They took Breece Hall. Wow. I mean, look, I love Breece Hall. But there's also Jeremy Ruckert, who I think is the best tight end in the class personally. They took Jeremy Ruckert. Yes! We got a Jeremy. Oh, and the Jets pick, and it's Max Mitchell, offensive tackle. We needed that. Wow. We took Michael Clemens. I never heard of him. A defensive edge.
Mekhi Becton. We will talk about Mekhi Becton for sure. Definitely. We're hearing a lot about him. He's all over the news. Now they're saying he looks fat because they showed him like stretching. It's like, I always thought an offensive lineman was supposed to be a big guy. I don't know. That's how I grew up. You know, like the big guys, not like the big muscle guys. Those are like the linebackers or the defensive linemen. But, you know, I don't want to say fat and be rude. Like, maybe not fat, because I'm fat. I mean, I got a big belly here. But, like, big guys with big stomachs. But it wasn't just like me, where it's normal size everywhere, but giant stomach. But big guys that everything was bigger. Their hands, their head, their shoulders, their legs are huge. And they have big stomachs, too. And they're really strong, and they're powerful, and they were offensive linemen or defensive tackles. That's the way it was when I grew up. And now people are expecting like him to look skinny. Like I don't know what the expectation is, but you guys have to figure it out and tell me. I don't know. Let's say hello to some people. Dom C, the number one man, is in the chat here. Dark Soldier, what's going on, my brother? How are you? Mark Reese. I've read ahead into the chat, and I saw you talking about Connor Hughes saying country club Hughes. And if he is acknowledging that people call him that, that is hysterical, because I really do think that it was Frankie. And I'm Frankie is becoming like the king of nicknaming people. I don't know if a lot of you know this, but it's kind of how I got the name Chaos. I don't know if he made it up, but it definitely was birthed through our show together. And I don't remember if it was him or me, or if like we were coming up with ideas, like calmness meets crazy, and somehow we came out with Chaos. But then the whole Dick Chimney, I mean, that's what Frankie could become famous for. He's the guy who names people, but they're great names. And if it got back to kind of use, I just think that's beautiful. Jets mess, whatever. Man, I feel nauseous. I had way too many snacks today. Was not a good idea. I ate this whole bag of these like chili flavored rice cakes, and it was not before the show, and it wasn't a good idea at all. My wife's going to be asking about dinner, and how do I tell her I feel nauseous already? And every time I feel sick or nauseous, I'm like, COVID, I got COVID. Johnny G, what's going on? How you doing? Here he is. I still haven't gotten to your site. I'll get there. Hey, I see you, buddy. I'll bring you in a second. What's up? How's everyone? Chiefs in the clutch. Gitmo Bob in the house. Bruno said he was fat this morning because he had on long sleeves. That happens when you talk nonsense for as long as he has. Maybe he is trying to lose weight, but that's okay. Like, what wasn't that like a big thing that you did anyway? Like when you came into camp, you worked really hard, training camp, boot camp, and part of it was you lost some weight. Like, it's common. A lot of, I think, bigger guys, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, tackles, they come in and they end up losing weight in training camp. So I don't care, man. I know we're fine with Becton. You know what I mean? I just know we're fine with them. So what's up, Snowball? And what's going on again, Johnny G? And okay, let me bring him in. He scared me. I didn't think he was coming. Maybe he was having some technical problems. It did take me forever to get him the link. But ladies and gentlemen, let's wait no longer for the man. I had pizza with this man. I ate a 16-inch pizza pie with this man. And it's not surprising we finished it, because this man has eaten 18 hot dogs in 30 minutes. It's true. It's true. Ladies and gentlemen, Wacky K99 Wicker Sports Media.
And we probably could have taken down a 32-inch pie if we had the desire to take it down. I think we could have taken down anything that day.
I have no question, man. I would not have stopped eating that. If we didn't run out of food, I would have kept going, because that was probably the best pizza I've ever had in my life out of New York City, without question.
Yeah, outside of New York City, yeah, it's right up there. It's one of the best. And I've had pizza, in Chicago, living there for 20 years. New Haven, Connecticut's got some good stuff too. Yeah, that's one of the best that you could ever have is the Fara. No doubt about it. If you're in the Raleigh area, got to go check it out.
And here comes Tom Bon Jovi. He was riding in on a steel horse. Something whatnot. He's wanted, dead or alive.
So. He gives Jets fans a bad name. I'm just kidding.
What is up, Tom? We miss you, buddy. You've been gone for a while. Your kid keeping you busy? And Mark Reese says, "What's up, Wicker? Wicker Foodie.
Hey, Mark.
Wicker Foodie. Together, man. Yeah, I people don't know. They call me snacks. They talk about all the food I ate. I never ate 18 hot dogs in 30 minutes.
Looking back, I still can't believe I did it, but it did happen. Yeah, the photograph. Yeah, it was 4th of July weekend. I want to say it was 2019, I believe was the year. A couple years ago. Yeah, it was right before COVID. So yeah, it was the year before COVID. So yeah, and of course I brought out the infamous trophy on. I don't know if you hosted that show or if Nick hosted that particular show, but yeah, I brought out the infamous trophy, and we'll just leave it there.
Sean McAteer, who has maybe the coolest beard I've ever seen in my life.
It's a good one.
It was a pretty awesome beard. What's going up? What's going on? Edison's own Mark Reese. I got to ask you a question, Mark. Okay, I need to know, Mark, are you going to opening game? Are you going to the Ravens game opening week? That was what I meant to ask you. And I'll explain why, but I need to know if you're going. So let me know if you're going to that game, if you're going to the opening week game. Good evening, Jets fans. Chris Bradigan, my friend, my buddy, my pal. How you doing? Dark Soldiers here. I don't know if I said that already. We got everybody up here. Look, Sean, look, they're all saying hi to each other. We got such a friendly environment. You got to love it. It's awesome. And I think Gitmo Bob is saying hi to you. Wicker guy, just 60 dogs to go to be a competitive eater.
No, that's to be Joey Chestnut. That's to leave the competitive eaters in the dust. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I think if I could get to in 10 minutes, I mean, keep in mind, my contest was 30 minutes. Those guys do 10 minutes on the 4th of July, right? Yeah. So I think realistically, if you could do 30 in 10 minutes, I think you're one of the best in the world right there. So
how awesome would it be if we can get Mekhi Becton on the show and do like a talk about food and eating with us, or if we had pictures of us at DeFaro's Pizza Tavern in North Carolina with Mekhi Becton sitting with us, hanging out. We'd have to order like 5 pies, but we'd all have a blast.
Well, he and his family are up in Richmond. So, when you made your little trip up there to meet Green Bean after we met, the 4 of us could have all gotten together. That would have been quite the podcast, to say the least. Yeah, plenty of places in Richmond where that would have worked. And I'm sure Mama Becton, Simone herself, is familiar with too. So, Yeah, Richmond's got some good stuff as well when you're up that way.
Yeah. Hey, I stopped in Richmond and we ate in a barbecue place called
you're up that way.
Smoke, spelled with an H, SMOH or whatever, KE or something, and it was
Okay.
wonderful. It was really, really special. Me and we were very happy with it. We had a wonderful lunch. Me, my wife, and Green Bean. The food was absolutely delicious. We thought the guy hated us when the guy that worked there. A bunch of Yankees come in because I sound like a New Yorker. It's like, hey, you got the ribeye, and he's like, no, we got brisket. And I was like, okay, I'll take the brisket. But then he came out because they were out of like real barbecue, out of pork at the moment. And I guess it was ready. And he came out with this cup full of pork for us and was like, the pork's ready now. And he just put the cup down. So we were able to stick, just pull out pieces of like fresh barbecue pulled pork. And it was wonderful. Mark, I need to know if you decide to go, you got to let me know, buddy. Because I might end up going. And if I end up going, my friend who lives in Staten Island said he'll drive me over to the outer bridge and like bring me to like one of the nearby areas, like the Menlo Park Mall or like somewhere around that is in. So like I'll need somebody to come get me and get me the rest of the way. I think Joe Blewett has a bus and he said he might do it.
The Blewett bus?
I might get on the Blewett bus. But I gotta find out if I'm even gonna get the ticket, and I gotta find out if I'm gonna be able to get a decent flight across the country. So, but there is a chance that I'm gonna go to the opener. There is a possibility.
And from what I understand, all the indications I got, if Green Bean does something like on Coney Island, if he does that get together, the vibe I got is he wants to do it that weekend, the day before the opener.
Oh yeah, well if I go, obviously I'm going to that too. So
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure at this point because it would be hard for me to not be with my club on opening day. But if there's a way that I could pull off Saturday and maybe go back Sunday, I don't know. It'd be a tricky thing for me to figure out because, it's easy for me where I live to fly to Kennedy, to fly to LaGuardia. I could do that without too much of a problem. But Newark, now where I am, you got to connect to Newark Airport. So that's not like a one-day thing to get to Newark. You got to connect, and it takes 2 days. And I have some flight advantages where I could fly standby for free, but then you start to risk getting bumped off flights, and all of a sudden it becomes stressful, and who really needs that? So I'd have to figure out. Hopefully, I can make that work, but we'd have to see. It's just tough for me to miss out on my club. That's the only problem.
Yep. Well, hey, it's the man from the future. It is 2:16 p.m. in the afternoon in New Zealand, and Braden, I'm sure, is at work. Are you at work, buddy? I don't know. Maybe you're having a late lunch, but what's up? I'm glad you're here. Buffalo Jet fan, the man with the plan. He's one of the big motivations of why I want to go. If I end up making this happen and I go to the opener, I could be hanging out with Kevin. So that would be pretty awesome because like it would be great before we start the whole Jets panel, post game shows and everything. If we can actually meet in person and hang out, and then the following week we start our. I mean, we've already had a collaboration, but that's a pretty serious collaboration. I'm taking it pretty serious. I think that post game show, I really believe heavily in what that is going to be. I think it's going to become a very big thing. Like I think it's going to be a very popular place where Jet fans are going to come on YouTube after the games, and I don't know. I think it's going to be a big deal. So I would. It'd be such an amazing thing to meet him in person before that happens.
The more people that I hear are going to come, the more I feel like I should be there too.
You should, man. If you can make it happen, I can't believe Frankie's not going to come. Like, is there a chance he is? I haven't heard from him about that, but like Pittsburgh's not that far. It's an 8-hour drive. I'm sure there's a train or a bus he can jump on. Like, I don't know.
The only time I really get to talk to Frankie is really during the Thursday night shows, or it's only during the thick of it, or now the thin of it. I mean, where I live, I could actually take the train up to New Jersey. There's only like 3 trains a day that go from where I live in South Virginia up towards that way, towards Metro Park and Newark and those train stations and whatnot. Of course, 2 of them leave at like 5 in the morning and 8 in the morning. So. And some of them are already filling up pretty quickly. So, if everything does come together, we'll find a way to make it happen.
Yeah. Becton seems very childish with that T-shirt. Well, let's remember, how old is Becton? What is he, 23, 24 years old? I'm pretty childish, and I'm 51, and I act like a child sometimes. I don't know, man. When I was 24, if I was in the spotlight, famous for something and people were just talking about me, tons and tons of people saying crap about me, doubting me, and I believed in myself, and I didn't agree, and was thinking I was being treated fairly. I don't know. I might have a chip on my shoulder and wear a shirt like that. I don't know. Look, I think Joe Blewett was saying it right. I as long as if he comes out and pancakes people and he's awesome and he starts resuming his amazing career from his rookie season where he was going to be looking like he was going to be, an important chip for us for a long time. That's all I care about. He can wear that shirt all he wants. It's not, it's childish maybe, but it's not selfish. Like it's not diva-ish. Like, there's a lot worse that I see players do that worry me about their character. Him having a chip on his shoulder about with all this crap people talk about him. Yeah, whatever. Okay. So he's 24 and he's not handling it in the way an older and a person would handle it. But I don't think it's a big deal. Do you?
I mean, it's not like he's starting every press conference by saying, "I'm just here so I won't get fined." I'd be a
Yeah.
little bit more concerned about something like that. I am for whatever motivates him, whatever keeps him on the straight and narrow, whatever keeps him in shape, whatever gets him to be the best player and the best person he can be. I'm fine with it. Am I the biggest fan of him on a personal level? I'm really not. We don't need to go into the details of why, but I do think he is a very sensitive guy. But you know what? If he had to do the things that he has had to do in order for him to have a more positive frame of mind, who am I to complain? The only thing that I care about, two things: that he is a good citizen, and it's not like he's had any issues with the law or anything like that, and that he works his ass off to be the best player he could possibly be. We know he has the ability to be, as Coach Sala called him today, transcendent. He knows that ceiling is there. Unfortunately, he's a little bit more towards the floor right now. It doesn't bother me really at all that he's working off on a side field right now. I mean, he says that his knee is where it needs to be. Coach says the knee is where it needs to be, and that he will be ready to go for training camp in about 6 weeks. As long as he is ready for training camp in 6 weeks, I am fine. I am not going to if he's ready to go and he's blocking the way he needs to block, we're not going to care about what happened during OTAs or what happened during May or June or anything like that.
Yep. Then there you go. It's just let him play. Barbecue Eastern NC style. That's the vinegar base. They didn't have that in Richmond.
Good.
Richmond was not that style. But Richmond had 4 different sauces. One of the ones they had was that South Carolina yellow, like the mustard type golden sweet sauce, and Green Bean got that one. That we have a place in California that has a pretty good barbecue, and they have that mustard sauce, the gold, and that's pretty amazing. I got like some honey, golden, I don't know, some other honey red sauce or whatever. I don't know. It was just all I could say it was all really good. It was all really good.
Sauce.
But I like Carolina style also. I like all barbecue. I like food. Everybody knows that. Becton is only 22. Oh, we should give him as much support as we can. Yeah. Oh well, I didn't.
Yeah, just from 22 in April. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a baby. It's like, come on, he's a little
big baby.
He's a kid. I mean, he's not a kid I'd want to line up against in football, but he's a kid. I'm not gonna judge him like any of that. Look, I just hope the kid is healthy and plays up to his ability. And I don't doubt his work ethic or anything like that. I don't trust the beats. John Nolte is saying Uber. Yeah, that is a. I'm not hitchhiking. That is a possibility. There's also, like I said, Joe Blewett from X Factor says that he has a bus, and he said there's a rest stop in Edison named after John Bon Jovi. I don't know, like the Chesapeake, and I remember the Chesapeake rest stop, so I think maybe they nicknamed it the John Bon Jovi or whatever. Anyway, my friend Dave, we call him Smush, I would crash with him if I went, because I'd fly into Newark, I'd go to Staten Island, I'd hang out with him, and then on Sunday he would drive me to that rest stop. Like he doesn't want to go near the stadium on game day, but he'll get me close to it. Like he'll drive over the outer bridge because he lives right in Tottenville. So he'll go over the outer bridge and he'll drop me off somewhere. So Joe said that it's no problem getting off at that rest stop. So how cool would it be if I get off at that rest stop and then Joe Blewett shows up in a bus full of Jets fans and I hop onto that bus and take it the rest of the way to MetLife?
You thought you saw Jets chaos before. You ain't seen nothing yet.
The problem
Yeah,
with
my father actually, I don't know if I've told you, he lives in downtown New Brunswick at this point. I just don't know if he has a situation right now where he could have company over. Not to go into a long story, but I'm not really sure. I haven't spoken to him in almost a week now, which is a little bit weird considering considering the hockey playoffs and everything like that, and that Father's Day is coming up. But yeah, from what I can tell about my dad, he doesn't seem to be in the best place right now. So I don't know. I don't want to press him on anything. So just hope he's all right.
This might end up working out really well. Maybe I go to Mark Reese's place. My friend will drop me off at his place, and I'll just take the train in, and then take the train back with Mark if he goes, and then he'll pick me back up at Mark's place.
And what about Nick? Is Nick going to be involved in this?
I don't know if Nick was going. It would, I would have already planned that, but I didn't know if Nick was going. So, but if Nick was going, I would have definitely planned that same kind of plan. Like, just go to one of these dudes' house. Whoever's going to the game in the area, like that's the easiest. Just go to their house and go with them and go home with them, and then my friend will pick me back up, or we'll meet at the Blue Ale House for a beer or something. And my buddy from Staten Island will come over the bridge and meet me there and come get me. So we'll work it out. The hard part is flying across the country and getting there and getting the ticket and everything and all that stuff. I got a lot to work out, but I'm trying to make it happen. And I may have an opportunity to get the ticket. So, Jeremy, if you end up meeting up with your friend in Temecula, let me know. I live in town, especially if it's during the Jet season. Sean, I didn't realize you live in Temecula. Yeah, my buddy Mark is in Temecula. I definitely go hang out with him a lot. He's got a beautiful house with a pool, and he's a really good friend of mine. He taught me how to play poker. He taught me how to play Texas Hold'em. And I'll definitely let you know if I'm there. I have a great time, man. I like going to the Pachanga, but his neighbor owns a small casino, like poker room. So I think that if I go down there, they're not going to like me going to the Pachanga. They're going to want me going to the next door neighbor's casino. So, or a poker room. So, Sean, I didn't realize you lived down there. I'll definitely let you know. I love it down there, man. I love Temecula. I was like trying to convince my wife that we should retire down there someday. Okay, so there we go. Do we have somebody new here? Who's this? Boost McDonald. What's up, fam? What's going on, Boost McDonald?
Hey, Boost.
Chat. Welcome. Glad you can make it with us. Work. Okay, what's up, darkness? So anyway. Okay, and we got everyone's coming here. Joe Blewett must have finished up because I see everybody piling in and everything. So Nolte, you're never going to go to a live game again. You don't see Crab, especially when they were down on the other end. I just want the excitement of I just want to meet all the other guys. Like, I want to meet everybody.
Football more than any other sport is about community. I don't mind going to baseball games alone, hockey games alone. I've done that. Even though basketball is my fourth sport, I would still go to a basketball game. I would not go to a football game by myself. I don't care who's playing. I don't care what stadium it's in. The only time that I've done that ever is both Jets playoff games in Indianapolis, and I immediately met up with other Jets fans. Because to me, if you're not enjoying it with other people, there's just something where football brings people together. Maybe it's because there's only so many games a year, and each game feels like more of an event. So to me, yeah, if you're not watching it with people, I would go to sports bars, when I was living out of state. I mean, I had my go-tos. I went to Rookies in St. Charles, Illinois. Then it would be Country Club downtown Chicago, where the Chicago Jets fans meet. The Carolina Ale House in Raleigh, all kinds of places. And there's just something about hanging at the bar, just having a conversation with a random stranger about what's going on in this game or that game, whether it's about your team, their team, fantasy. Yeah, it just gives you a good talking point. So to me, yeah, that's what it's all about. It's about the community aspect of football. special about it.
Yeah. So welcome.
Yo, it's Vin.
You, by the way, thank you, chat, for welcoming Boost. I appreciate everybody giving him a warm welcome. Boost, if you like the stuff, if you like the show, please sub to the channel and keep coming. We're live every Wednesday, Sunday nights, do a bunch of videos, and so does Watsu K99 here. He has a channel now he's building out as well, New York Wicker Sports. Yeah, stay tuned. You'll learn more about us. You'll like us. And Yoitzvin is back. Yoitzvin, it's been a while. I feel like Yoitzvin has not been here in a while. So I'm welcome back, Yoitzvin. How you doing, buddy? Hope you're good. And people are going to be coming back because, and I don't blame them, during the dead off season, some people go on with their lives and take a break from all this, and then they got to come back. So hopefully we'll get everybody back. So
and I remember somebody mentioned earlier this week, it's like, wait a second, Green Bean's in Charlottesville, Frankie's in Pittsburgh, Jeremy's in Sacramento. Y2K is in Virginia also. Tigo's in Florida. Buffalo Jets fans obviously in Buffalo. Why don't we have, I think Bob said it. It's like, why don't we have more local stuff? I'm like, because we need the community because we're all by ourselves where we live.
Yeah. Sean, yeah, dude. I'm not messing around. My friend, his really nice house. Part of what I didn't mention was he has this extra guest house, and he converted 80% of it into a bar. I mean, when you walk in, it feels like you're in a bar, and the other part of the bar is a movie theater. I'm not kidding. This place is amazing. So if I come down there and visit him, we're probably going to give you his address and have you come over, and you'll love him. He's like this really, really cool dude. He's like a great guy. He'll love your beard, and you'll come over and you'll have some drinks, and I'll help you make a new friends because he's like the greatest guy. He does poker tournaments, plays poker at his house. His neighbor's super cool. So if I come down there, seriously, when I do go down and visit him, I'll let you know. We'll definitely have you over, and you'll check it out, and you'll have some drinks with us, and I'll connect you guys because you seem like a good dude. I think that my friend Mark would like you. So, and he's like a really friendly guy, always building out his family of friends and stuff, especially moving to Temecula. He left the San Jose area. So I think he's looking to build a bigger community of friends down there. Is Obi-Wan on tonight? Okay. I'll watch it later. No spoilers, man. Okay. Yes.
Don't worry. You won't get any from me. I can guarantee you.
Let me find John Nolte's thing. He's talking about the last time he went to a game. Last live Jets game I went to, my wife and I went with a wealthy friend of ours in his field level seats. Great picks, but I saw nothing. It is harder to see at the game. I mean, you're definitely trading in the view and what you get now by watching on TV for the energy of the stadium and the game, and I mean, I don't know, when I sat in San Diego for the playoff game, the game I was at when the Jets beat San Diego, my brother, when I went with my brother, we had good tickets, and I was in the perfect position to watch that 45-yard pass from Chad Pennington to, was it Santonio Holmes? Or is it the other one that I'm thinking? Is it Moss? I think it was Moss. Look, that's how senile I'm getting. But I watched that pass right in front of my eyes, man. So that was kind of cool. I won't forget that experience. So Yoitzvin is from Northern Virginia, close to DC.
I'm guiding him right now. I'm actually working with him because DC, they actually have a club over there. So this is actually pretty cool. So a couple years ago when the Jets played in DC at FedEx Field. So my group, I think I just become the president at the time. We had one side of the parking lot and of that particular parking lot, and the Capital Jets fans were in the same parking lot, but down a little ways. But we saw another sea of green, and so I met up with them, got to know their group a little bit. And then earlier this year, when the Jets played the Saints, I happened to be up in Baltimore that weekend for a Ring of Honor wrestling show for Final Battle because I'm a pretty big pro wrestling fan. And on my way back, I figured, you know what? I don't want to rush, go all the way down to Norfolk, drive 4 hours from Baltimore to Norfolk. Why don't I stop in D.C. along the way, hang out with the Capital Jets fans? And so I did and had a great time. They meet at the Irish Times, which is in the Chinatown section of D.C. near the Capital One Arena. I know they meet at the Irish pub in the Chinese section of DC. So it's got to be authentic, right? But it was a good place. It was a really good group. Armado's a good guy. I think they had about 30 or so people that day at the bar hanging out watching the Jets game. So, but they've been meeting there for a long time. So if you're ever in DC, check out the Capital Jets fans group. They're on Facebook too, just like Virginia Jets fans. So
Yeah.
so
Okay.
check them out, Yo, it's Finn. Check them out.
Yeah. You definitely should. And I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. So we're half an hour in, and we barely talked about Becton, and I made this big freaking stink about him to get people to come in here and click on.
We do but we all know this. We do the warm up, get everybody in, get everybody warmed up, and then when it's time to jet into the topic, we're going to jet into the topic.
Yeah.
Man, we spent a minute on him. I mean, we didn't say how long we were going to spend on him, just as much time as we needed to. We're working out travel plans here, folks.
Look, I mean, it's pretty easy to sum it up. Okay, 90% of the Becton stuff is just, and it always happens when there's no other news. It's just looking for a story. That's what this is. It's a story. It's just one of those picking points the media found. That works. It gets the Jets fans to click. They manipulated a lot of feelings towards Becton from a lot of fans. They've created a narrative, and they play that narrative, and it's one of their go-to things. Denzel Mims became a go-to narrative for them, so they just go to that narrative when nothing else major is happening. There's some obsession with Becton. Pictures of him at camp. He's at camp. He's not at camp. Blah blah blah. This and that. I think he's a good kid. I like the things he said. I like that his priority is his becoming a father. Like when I watched when he said that, when he said, "Look, everything right now in my life is about my baby, and and I'm going to work hard, and be like the right, like I love that kind of stuff. I love it when people are real and that like they were, and like I'm not going to sit here in front of all these people and talk and have thousands of people watch me and pretend that all I'm thinking about right now is practice and football when I just became a dad. I'm going to mention my baby. I'm going to mention that I'm a dad now, and that's what motivates me, and that's all great. All I know is when he's healthy, he's a great football player, and we just have to hope he stays healthy, and the rest will take care of itself.
Well, Greg Van Roten's on the Bills now, so maybe he could take out one of the Bills linemen at this point. Maybe he'll take out a Mitch Morse or a Darrell Williams. I don't know, somebody like that. But I think I will. Well, I'll give the beat a little bit of credit because they did give Mims quite a bit of credit. They talked about that he was looking pretty good, and based off everything I've seen, we have our new Jerry Rice, and his name is Jeff Smith. So be sure to draft him in your fantasy teams. Jeff Smith is apparently torching our defense, which part of me is like, oh my God, what's happening to Bryce Hall? He can't cover Jeff Smith. What the hell's going on here? Since it's like something about that does not sound right. Yeah, Buffalo, it's a fair point. There's some players, who this is? This is like Connor McGovern. It felt like during the entire season, people were very stuck in their opinion on Connor McGovern, and they would not be swayed one way or another. And now Becton is sort of taking that role over, even though and McGovern got better as the year went on. But now Becton is like the one where, nobody's going to really change their mind until the games actually begin. And then once they actually do begin, I think I don't know. It's pretty hard with most offensive linemen to say this guy's great or this guy is terrible. Usually it's relatively unanimous, unless one is like much better run blocking versus pass blocking. So I think I think a lot of this is really going to get settled within a couple of games. And, with some of the defenses that they're facing, he'll have an opportunity to show what he's capable of. I mean, like you have the Myles Garretts of the world coming very early on, who is not the easiest opponent for him previously. So, yeah, we'll find out very quickly exactly where Becton is in terms of his health, both physically and mentally.
Yeah, and the thing is that's the one thing about like, and I think I hear what you're saying, Buffalo, but like I do want to say a lot of times these things, the one difference with this politics and sports is that if Becton comes out and is an all-pro tackle in 3 years, all the people Well, maybe it's true in politics too. All the people that were putting Becton down, and all the people that were buying into this narrative and yelling all these things on Twitter, in 3 years from now, will magically have forgotten. Right? They'll just be wearing their Becton jerseys or saying "Go Becton," and like magically they just kind of disappear. And that's what Becton's going to do. I think he's going to come in, he's going to play really well, and he's going to just make all his doubters disappear. I'm going to the Jets game versus the Pats this year. I'm going to be in their home stadium watching them crumble to the Jets. I can't wait. That's interesting. So you're going to go from Temecula area, Southern California, and the game you chose was to go to New England to watch them play in New England. Man, I hope they win for you, man. I hope they win that game with you there. That'd be great.
We are so overdue to beat that franchise. We are so overdue. We are as overdue to do that as we are to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know.
Someone I did not say hello to yet, and I want to say his name. Hey, Johnny, I want to ask you something because I believe I'm the only YouTube Jets content provider that says your name correctly. I spelled it out phonetically for Green Bean, and he still said it wrong. So I'm going to take one shot at it right now. It is Johnny No. No, I had it. Wait a second. It is Johnny Marahiel. It is Johnny Marahiel.
I feel like there's like an A sound in it somewhere from if I remember him correctly, because I know
like
he
Johnny
explained it.
Johnny Marahiel.
Marahiel. I think that's pretty. Yeah,
Johnny
I think that's
Marahiel.
pretty close. Yep.
So now tell me, Johnny, am I saying it right, or am I at least much closer than Green Bean? Johnny Marahiel. I think that I'm the closest. I think I do it the best.
And one of the comments that I saw earlier, I think it was on Jake's show earlier in the chat that just bugged me. He said, "It's like you could just tell that Becton is so anxious for his rookie contract to run out so he can get out of here." The guy he has 3 years left on his rookie contract. What are we talking about here? If he's even halfway decent, the Jets are picking up that 50-year option. So, I mean, a lot could change between now and 3 years. So we don't even know what's going to happen between now and the end of the preseason, let alone 3 years from now. So let's not act like we're fortune tellers and we know what's going to happen in the year 2025.
Yeah. And hey, Johnny, when I'm in Temecula, I'll let you know as well. Maybe we'll meet up somehow. Salty Nolte is being very salty.
There we go.
He is saying he's going to play out his rookie deal and flip the New York Jets fans the bird and leave. Well, could you blame him?
If that's the case, Joe Douglas will get 2 first-round picks for him, minimum.
I think that they will.
But I'm not worried about it.
I think he's not going to. I think that by then it all will be good with the fans, and it'll be fine. He's one that we're going to hold on to, I hope. Dylan Grace, what is going on? Hope Rotten allows 30 sacks on Allen. Yeah, let's hope. Let's hope he needs to play.
Yeah,
let's hope Rotten needs to play because that would mean somebody went down because he is a depth piece. Not that I hope someone gets injured. It'd be nice to see the Bills get banged up and have to rely on Rotten.
Buffalo likes to take our old guards, Winters, Van Roten. I mean, it's pretty interesting. So this is like the latest Jets cast-off that they're taking for their offensive line. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Somebody think I'm wrong. Noel says, "Hey guys, what's going on, buddy? Welcome. Thank you for being here. Don't worry, Johnny. Don't worry, Johnny. Jeremy says my last name wrong every time. Do I? Bradigan?
Bradigan. Yeah, like Brad. The name Brad.
I'm infamous for saying names wrong, by the way. I'm infamous. I don't even say my own name right. I say my name different than my brother's.
Oh yeah?
They're like, it's Cravat. And I'm always like, it's Jeremy Cravat. And they're like, I'm Lee Cravat. Matthew, I think, says Cravat. I don't know. We don't all agree on how we say our names. So, Lawrence K. Oh, so okay, Lawrence, you getting excited about Cager? He's going to be the dark horse this year. I mean, look, I heard he's looking like a weapon. 240, 8% body fat. He's a wide receiver training. Well, we're gonna have some tough decisions in the tight end room, huh?
injuries have really played Cager for a while. We love the size and whatnot, but again, you can't make the club in the tub. Bill Parcells said that for years. And the biggest issue that Lawrence Cager has had is staying on the field. Clearly, they converted him to tight end because they see potential in him fitting at that spot. So if this can potentially work, if this can make a role, he is going to have to kick and scratch and claw and fight for every, not just his roster spot, but every snap that he can get on the field. He's going to have to fight just to stay off the inactive list. I think a lot of this is going to come down to special teams. I think we have a pretty good feeling who our top 3 tight ends are going to be. But between Cager, Yeboah, I think I'm forgetting one other player if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, you could throw in Wesco, but to me, I look at him as more of a fullback than I do a tight end. But the depth of tight end, I mean, just think, we're going to cut a tight end who could have been our starter last year. There's a good chance that it is going to be that kind of a situation.
Yeah.
So you know what? If we could have a player like this who genuinely surprises us and can just be a good contributor, even if it is just on special teams, and can play a couple of offensive snaps a game, wow! All the credit to the coaching staff and all credit to Joe Douglas, Rex Hogan, Chad Alexander for recognizing that potential.
Yeah, and there is something called the practice squad. So so we don't have to cut everybody completely. So we got a little bit of a surprise right now. A little bit of surprise, and I think you're gonna figure out what's happening. That something's happening. When you hear the music, you know what that means. That means I'm gonna go into one of my intros. I try to be like the Nathan's Coney Island guy, combined with like a boxing ring announcer.
You need the hat. That hat really would add to the festivities of the introduction.
6 months ago, you didn't even know who this man was. He comes from a place where if it blew up, it would probably take us 2 weeks to find out about it on the news. I mean, a lot of people don't give it its due. Whatever. But they came out with buffalo wings, which is one of my favorite foods. So I'll always appreciate them. I'll always appreciate this part of the world. They also do beef on whack, which is very, very tasty and delicious.
It is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the future leader of the soon-to-be #1 YouTube Jets channel in the world, the Buffalo Jets fan.
What up?
How we doing, brother?
Good. Jeremy, I love how your expectations for this stream that I'm hosting are like tenfold what mine are.
I'm a positive thinker, man, and I believe in you, and that's the truth.
We should even consider doing like one after one of the preseason games, maybe that live game against the Falcons is a little test run to see how that goes along. Just like as a little warm up. You never know.
That's a great idea. I like that a lot. I wish that my boss would do that for me at work every time while I was like clocking in with my coffee at like 7 a.m, Jeremy, with the music and everything. I feel like that'd be great for morale.
Yeah.
There were times I would get off the train. When I was working in Chicago, I'd have to get off the train. I'd have to walk, about 10, 15 minutes to the office, which may not sound like a lot, but when you're dealing with some of those, and Buffalo, you can relate to this, some of those sub-zero winters where you like I could not breathe. Like the inside of my nose would freeze where I could not breathe in 10 minutes. I'd have to play like some WWE intro music. I'd have to, play some good pace. I have to play some different wrestler entrance themes just to get myself in the right mood, the right frame of mind, just to get myself ready. It's like, here we go again, just to fight through the cold. So whatever gets you through the day.
And today the heat index in Buffalo was 96. So a different kind of problem today.
Do you just go from winter to summer? Like, do you all have spring and fall at all?
There's usually like a morning, like a 68-degree morning of spring, and then it's right to back sweat season.
Everybody runs out. Everybody runs out for brunch. And
walk your dog. This is the one day a year you can walk your dog, and then you're done.
And whatever you do, don't put the dog in the car.
I gotta say, it's funny what you said before, Buffalo, because all my teachers tell me all the time. If there's one thing I get like feedback on the most as an AP is you definitely give me energy and make me feel good in the morning when I come into work. That's like my big thing. It's like it's great in the morning when it's at their worst, like on a Monday morning, and I'm just like in their ear, just getting all excited, saying, "Well, it's gonna be a great day. We're gonna rock and roll, and you're the greatest teacher in the world." And like I just get everybody feeling great,
Love it,
just
man.
because I know how hard it is to get through the week.
Appreciate it. I might have your job soon. Got an interview coming up for it.
All right, right on.
Yeah.
Right on. Contact me privately if you want to talk about it at all. What kind of
I
questions?
might have to take you up on that and pick your
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah. If you want to pick my brain, I can give you some ideas of some questions I might ask you. So
Should I bring up Becton?
I wouldn't bring up Becton on an interview for an AP. Like what we'll talk about.
No, that's more Jeff Smith speed, I feel like.
The Jeff Smith.
Yeah, I was just listening to the Badlands before, and they were seriously talking about how Jeff Smith is like a dark horse to be. I mean, I don't know if anything screams dead season more than that, but people were saying it.
I mean, is David Clowney making a comeback? Is Clyde Gates? Are they coming back too? And there's just certain guys where it feels like they've been on this roster for about 5 to 10 years, and they're like a cockroach. We just can't get rid of them. They're just hanging around. They're always going to be in the mix for a while, and the okay players, but until the season actually begins. And it feels like Jeff Smith is kind of the latest one of those.
I'd like to welcome one of my original followers and one of my closest friends, someone I loved dearly, J. Cole. Welcome to the channel.
Notice how we said loved as in past tense. We heard that.
No. Come on.
I heard loved. I don't know, Buffalo. I heard loved. Did you hear what I heard?
I love the kid.
Okay.
He's funny, man. He's a funny kid. He's funny. He's always willing to dance. He's always willing to make chicken cutlets for anybody who wants them. Like Buffalo's so confused. He's like, what?
Well, we moved past the days of like my first time on your channel when I was getting like someone asked me if I, wanted to rotisserize their chicken or whatever. And now we're actually talking ball, so that's nice.
Rotisserize a chicken. I've never heard that, but that should be in the dictionary if it's not already.
The Leeds groundkeeper for the fall. You know what, Sean? We need to send you to MetLife. You need to talk to the Johnsons, and you need to convince them that you can take care of a field in New Jersey, and we don't have to play on that crap field anymore and keep losing our players to Achilles and ACLs.
And hamstrings. It just depends on the year. This year might be ankles. You never know. But there will be a variety of lower body injuries to come. It seems like it's every year. It's just a different body part. And hey, Sean, even if you could just take care of Florham Park first and work your way to MetLife Stadium, we'll take that arrangement also. Whatever you can do.
Yeah. So, hey, Buffalo, what do you think about the whole Becton narrative?
Well, I think it's something that I'm sure you guys we haven't really talked Becton when we've collabed before too much. I know, Jeremy, you're definitely high on Becton. I haven't heard Y2K's take on him too much since before what I was just listening to, but I think we'd all agree that the way the Jets handled the injury was not ideal. And if we knew right when he went down, if in the Monday or Tuesday presser, they came out and said, hey, Mekhi's out for the year, that's a gut punch. But then he's probably kind of out of sight, out of mind. And we're probably feeling about Mekhi how we feel about Carl Lawson, which is bummed that he was gone and excited to get him back. But then, weeks 4, 6, 8 go by, and then coach is saying, no update. We don't know. No new information. And it reminds me of the line from Office Space where it's like, dude, what is it you say you do here? Like, if you don't know, who knows? And it felt like there were some times where the Jets brass and coaching staff could have had Mekhi Becton's back and just kind of chose not to. So that wasn't a good look for me. Now, I haven't uttered a critical word of Mekhi Becton in 2 years. I've been a staunch supporter that I'm always going to be the fan that's like the last fan to give up on a guy. Like, that's how you know Ashton Davis is bad, because I'm out on him. If I'm out on you, you're done. Ashton Davis, it's good luck. Maybe you can run track or something. You're not an NFL safety. I'm sorry. But with Mekhi coming into minicamp, every step that happens, every increment that happens where Mekhi Becton isn't doing normal football things, my anxiety is increasing. And I think that today was the first day where the Mekhi Becton critics actually had some substance, where coach was directly asked about his conditioning and his weight, and he dodged the question, and he's going out of his way to rave about the conditioning and work ethic and offseason progress of Zach Wilson, calling him thick. Mims, OC says best shape anyone's ever seen him in his life. Coach Sala on Carl Lawson, he is obsessed about his body, great work ethic. He's relentless. So if Carl Lawson can be in phenomenal shape coming off of a torn Achilles, why can't Mekhi Becton be in great shape? And if he is, why is coach dodging direct questions about it when he's going out of his way to comment on the peak conditioning of other players? Now, Jeremy, you're in education just like me, and you know that high expectations are the biggest compliment you could place on somebody. I think Mekhi Becton has an elite ceiling. Mekhi Becton's ceiling is as high as any player on this football team. Mekhi Becton at his best, living up to his potential at left tackle, is as high as Zach Wilson's at quarterback, as Sauce Gardner's at corner, Carl Lawson at edge. He could be the best player on this football team. That's his ceiling. So, if I have a kid who's a brilliant kid who's pulling a B+, am I just going to give him a noogie and say, whatever? No, because that's not your ceiling. So if me expecting excellent conditioning out of Mekhi Becton, expecting excellence from somebody with an excellent ceiling, if that's being a hater, then so be it. But I was bummed about that. I really was.
Love it. I love it. I love the throw with the high expectations. That's great. And and I do have a lot of high expectations for him, and we should. Because we know he has the ability to do it, right? So we shouldn't set a low bar for him. And I just want to say this one thing. Murahiel. That's how you say his name. Murahiel.
Oh, I would not have gotten that.
Yeah. But no, but it's truth, man. It's like, look, it's you speak the truth. And I am just looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to, there's so many players, we have so many stories, so many things to look for, in this team. Like we could, I mean, it's like I'm losing count. I mean, like just Denzel Mims, what's he going to be? That's an interesting story. It's interesting for him to come in and what that's going to look like. Jeremy Ruckert, will he see the field right away, or is he going to be stuck behind these two veteran tight ends this whole rookie year? Breece Hall, how's he going to look? What's the balance of the running attack with him and Michael Hall and Michael Carter? And are we forgetting about Michael Carter? Because Michael Carter was looking pretty damn good. Corey Davis, is he going to bounce back? Because he's a much better wide receiver than we saw last year. Is Elijah Moore going to take the next step? Is Zach Wilson going to take the next step? What's the offensive line going to look like? It just goes on. And then the defense, JJ, is he going to hit? Is Carl Lawson going to come back the way he was? Are we okay at linebacker? Like, there's just so many questions. But to me, they're all really exciting because to me, I feel really confident about a lot of those questions.
It's such an interesting point because I feel like for years, the Jets have been a place where, well, they could, if this goes right, if this goes right, if all of these things go exactly right, they could find themselves bordering on contention at the very end of the season. And that was our absolute ceiling. This year, I feel as though there's a good chance that a lot of these questions can go in our favor. It is, I think it's the youth. I think it's the coaching staff, because I do think these coaches are starting to figure it out. And I think the improvement of Mike LaFleur over the course of last season gives me as much optimism as anything about these coaches. Now, as far as Robert Saleh goes, I know the players love playing for him, and that carries some weight with me. But at the same time, do they respect him enough? Can he hold these players accountable if somebody needs to be held accountable? Can he give Mekhi Becton a good swift kick in the butt if that is what he needs at the moment? And we also have to see, will he make the in-game decisions that need to be made? I mean, do you go for it? Do you punt? Do you blitz? Do you not blitz? Do you play man? Do you play zone? All those types of things we still have to learn about Coach Saleh. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest things. If they're in a lot of competitive games, and I think the majority of us in the chat, we feel the Jets are not going to be blown out as often as they have been in previous years. They're going to be in a lot of close games, and that's where the coach and the quarterback can make the biggest difference. So to me, a lot of this, we're talking about Wilson, we're talking about Becton, and all these players, and rightfully so. But one of the biggest things that I need at the end of this year, I need to know that Robert Saleh is the coach that I believe in going forward that can take us to the promised land.
Yeah, I would like to see a few games where, like, I was trying to think, like, what's the last time the Jets won a game because of their head coach? Where at the end of the game, you're like, you know what, with a different guy wearing the headset, we probably don't win that game. I mean, the Mike White Hall of Fame game, I don't know if that just feels like kind of a feel-good story flash in the pan. That'll be a great memory to rewatch. But when's the last time we had a head coach win a chess match?
We could probably go through each game over the last couple of years and break it down, but
yeah,
I think we could automatically skip Adam Gase just by principle. And Bowles,
you're talking probably Bowles first. Yeah, I mean, even Bowles, I can't get over the ending the season in Buffalo and not making halftime adjustments and getting cooked by Sammy Watkins. I can't unsee that.
Let me play Revis 10 yards off him and just have him beat him underneath all day long for over 100 yards.
That as stacked as that roster was, to not make the playoffs is just a crime I can't forgive.
And I feel the same way about, not to go too far back, but I feel the same way about Mangini. I know Favre was hurt, but some of the coaching decisions he made in those last couple of games were just outrageous to me. I mean, I could go through them, like when the game they lost in Seattle and they wouldn't blitz one time when the Seahawks had 5 backup offensive linemen in the game. That was the game where I gave up on Eric Mangini completely. And every time I see people defending him, I think of that game and the way I feel that he basically lost that game for the Jets.
Yeah, maybe he's a guy who is just a better coordinator than head coach. And obviously we can skip past, the legend coaching tier of, whatever Belichick or Andy Reid, but or even guys like Tomlin and Harbaugh, who are probably Hall of Fame bound, but even guys like Mike Vrabel or Sean McDermott. You watch football, you see it's about 2 games a year where you're like, man, like Mike Vrabel doing some sneaky weird shit, manipulating the clock at the end of games, or a game where, you come out and your team just looks extra prepared. The first 15 plays look good. You make an adjustment at halftime. You do something a team didn't have an answer for. That's what I want to see out of this coaching staff in general. I want to see games where it looks like we were the ones dictating the pace, the style, the personnel of the game, and not always having to react and scramble because Gardner Minshew is throwing bubble screens on us for 5,000 yards and we can't figure out how to stop it.
There's just been so many games where it has just felt hopeless watching this team, where it's just like, oh my gosh, not only are they completely outclassed with player personnel, they're being completely outclassed. I mean, we made Doug Marrone look like Bill Belichick in some of these games to the point where it was just downright comical. But you know what? But they seem to have personnel that we don't know exactly what they are, but we know those ceilings are super high. And that's why I'm putting a lot of this on the coaching staff to develop these players to bring out the potential that we are seeing in them. Joe Douglas, Chad Alexander, and Rex Hogan have done a fantastic job, in my opinion, up to this point. Now it's time for the coaches to go do theirs. And hey, tomorrow night we're going to see a big part of the journey when flight drops on the Jets website, and it's going to be freaking awesome. Can't wait for those. I can't wait for those episodes to drop, guys. What do you think?
It's always really, really exciting. I'm excited about what Green Bean is doing, that he's going to do it like as a watch party. I think that's going to be fun, but it's going to be weird to have everybody try to watch it at the same time.
I'm thinking about this. Like are we going to talk over everything as it's going on? Like Mystery Science Theater 3000, be like Mystery Jets Theater 3000, Mystery Green Bean Theater 3000. That's what's going to be going on here.
I hope not, because then we're not really going to be watching. Because it's going to be too much talking. So I think he said we'll watch and then hit pause once in a while and talk about what we like or whatever.
Maybe after a segment ends or something like that. Yeah, because if you have 5 episodes and each one's going to be about 30 to 35 minutes, I would guess. Yeah, it's going to be a marathon. I'm glad I have Friday off from work. That's all I can tell you.
It's going to get me more excited about the players. I know that.
Yeah, I already saw it. They already dropped a little clip today of Braxton Berrios calling Zach Wilson as he's about to sign the contract. And
That's cool.
yeah, and I'm wondering if Zach knew, because Zach kind of keeps his emotions kind of hidden. Like you don't always know exactly what he's thinking.
Yeah.
And to me, it was like, wait a second, did he know that Braxton was about to sign? And so, because you could see him on the video chat, you could see Zach's face. So I'm going to be. One of the things I want to look at that clip and see. Wait, did Zach know, or did he get totally surprised out of the blue? But it'll be interesting to see what players they profile and what coaches they profile, and who they really choose to spend time breaking down on these episodes. You know it, Matthias.
And I'll respond to Iowan. First of all, what's up, dude? Because you're a good Jets content supporter. But yeah, I meant that as a compliment to Robert Saleh. I am as optimistic as for this team at head coach as I've been since I was in high school and we hired Rex Ryan. So, and I'll say this, he's only been here 1 year, and last year he didn't have the horses to do it. But this year, you're going to find out a lot about Robert Saleh as a head coach. A career isn't going to be made in year 2, but I do think excellent head coaches definitely have their fingerprint and their mark made on a team in the first 2 to 3 years. I mean, we could talk about, Mr. Cheekbones himself, Sean McVay, but also guys like Zach Taylor. And I mentioned Sean McDermott. 2-3 years in, you notice a difference if you got the right guy.
Yep. I have a very good feeling about Robert Saleh. I really do. I know he got the chops from one half of it. Like half of it to me is, are you a leader of people? And how do you handle yourself? And do you model, the way to carry yourself?
Yeah.
The character. Like that's all there. There's no question in my mind.
Yep.
No question in my mind. Now it just has to be okay, but there's another part of the job, and that is really managing the coordinators and making sure the right game plans are in place and being in charge of those miscommunications with the clock and things like that. And really, did they learn from it? Like next year, I don't want to see us come out of a timeout and get called for a delay of game. That should be a once in a lifetime thing for a coach, or at least once in a very long time thing.
That's run a quarterback sneak on 4th and 2.5.
Right. We should not.
It's a one time only.
Right. We should not see that ever again.
I'd almost forgotten that play.
Yeah. We definitely should not see that again.
I do want him a little more hands-on. I do need to see that. I don't really care what a coach's demeanor is on the sideline. You could be a statue for all I care. I just care that you get the players to play the way they need to play. Okay, I mean, Belichick is not exactly known for being – Rex Ryan and Bill Belichick were two opposite ends of the spectrum when it came to their emotion level on the sideline, but they both had their players play for them. So as long as the players are doing that, and now that we have players who actually have some legitimate talent and we have some depth, I think now we'll really know. But if we see like no-show performances where we're just being completely outclassed like we were numerous times last season, then something's up if we have these players on the field. So, yeah, we cannot be outclassed and have games over midway through the first quarter where it's like, okay, buckle in, going to be another 2 hours and 45 minutes. Just, we've already got knocked down in the ring. Now let's just get dragged around for another 11 rounds. I can't deal with that anymore. We don't deserve that anymore.
No, and I'll say this on Saleh. I think one thing that other Jets head coaches had struggled with, and I think my least favorite thing about Bowles that's been a big improvement is I am as optimistic with the offensive coordinator hire as I've been, since I can remember. With Todd Bowles just naming random like high school quarterback coaches to be the offensive coordinator, we have a legitimate professional quarter who can see an offense through a quarterback's eyes. So to pair that with your young quarterback, that to me, that's a home run. I really like Mike LaFleur calling the plays for Zach Wilson this upcoming year.
Yeah, I there's some coaches that I really like. I really like the staff from top to bottom. Obviously, we all love Middleton. So and then on the defensive side, I love Ogden. I think we have the best secondary coach in football in the NFL.
Mhm.
So we have some great assistant coaches. It's really a great room. Look, it's all set up for Salah. Like, he has to deliver with wins. I mean, at some point, he have to deliver with wins. I don't think he needs to win 12 games this year to prove he's a good coach, but he's going to have to take the next step. They're going to have to win 8-9 games. They're going to have to be very competitive in the games. No more games where we're not competitive. Like, it has to be, obviously there might be a couple for any team where they have an off week, but it can't be like last year. Like, we have to be, for the most part, in most of our games and being really, really competitive. And I don't think there's that much, unless we get like slaughtered with injuries. I don't think there's much of an excuse for us to have multiple games where we're not competitive.
I want to see more games like we had against Tampa at the end of the season, except I want to see us win some of those games as the year progresses.
Right.
That's what I'm looking for.
Give the ball to Berrios. Don't sneak it.
And I think you made a good point, Y2K, and you talked about how everything needs to go right. And obviously there's a lot of question marks with the rookies, guys coming back from injury. But I feel like this roster is finally in a position to where we can handle some adversity
Correct.
and still kind of be okay.
No, I completely agree. I guess what my point was, in previous years, that we felt like if things went as well as they could have gone, maybe we'll be in the mix. I feel like we're better than that now. I think we're like a level or so better than that, where, yeah, if things go, okay, this goes well, but this doesn't go quite as well, we still have the ability to contend in games and to have a season that we're going to enjoy as the year goes on. So, yeah, I agree. Michael Furr already proved himself. Most creative offense we have had. If I remember correctly, didn't Robert Saleh say once, the one downfall of this defense is it's very difficult to stop a screen pass? I could have sworn that he said that early last year. Like, even when things are going right, the one downfall is you're vulnerable to screens.
Well, he has to, even if it's vulnerable to screens, you have to figure it out, because it was literally making it impossible to stop the other team. And San Francisco didn't have that problem. I mean, they may have given up screen passes, but San Francisco overall was able to get off the field, obviously, right? And they've had some successful years where their defense was very dominating. They were able to get off the field. So maybe that's the challenge of the defense, but you got to figure it out. Otherwise, find a new system, because if it's going to make it that you just can't win games, and well, sorry, our defense can't stop screen passes, and people are going to eat us alive week after week and just screen it whenever they want to stay on the field on third down. We can't have that.
It seems like we have a lot of flexibility with the offense. Like, Mike LaFleur can adjust the offense to his personnel, and I think we saw that over the course of the season. But I don't think this defense is very flexible. You can rotate guys, you can put different guys in place, but the core principles of this defense, I think we're basically married to it for at least this year. So, I just think there's a lack of flexibility on the defense compared to the offense. What do you think?
It's an interesting point. To me, I've never minded a little bit more of a vanilla look on defense when you have the talent, because sometimes with the Rex Ryan defense, he would try to outsmart everybody, and you have guys who don't know what to do, and missed assignments will kill you on defense more than anything else. Chunk plays because a guy didn't know his assignment. So if you have a young defense, hey, Sauce, that's your guy. DJ, that's your guy. JJ, Lawson, pin your ears back. That's good enough for me. And then if you want to throw some spice in there. So I'm fine with Michael LaFleur having the more creative bag, and the defense being a little bit more vanilla. A point on the screen passes, though, we all talk about linebacker. I've heard you say, Jeremy, all I need is a linebacker who can stop a screen pass. And I hear you on that. I really do. But I think we're also underrating how much our having two excellent tackling corners will help with that. And edge defenders have screen pass responsibility too. Like Jermaine Johnson and Carl Lawson screaming on the backside of plays, that's going to help as well. I think sometimes we get fixated on, like, we need this guy to stop the run or this guy to stop a screen. But a lot of these things are 11-man problems. So it's going to mitigate some of that.
Yeah, it can't be one guy. And I think there was a lot of unfair criticism on CJ Mosley. It was, like, people were like, look at him, he's like running after guys and tackling them late. It's like, no, he's like literally, they're not executing as a team. I like the way you said that. They're not executing as an 11-man unit to stop the play. And that's why he was put in that position where he was running up and down, sideline to sideline, having to make those plays. And people were criticizing him, and I was like, come on, man. He's the only one making the tackles. He's the only one.
He was
It's
playing
like,
Mike linebacker, weak side linebacker, free safety. He couldn't trust anyone around him to make a play. He was, I mean, I know that was one of the things where I finally gave up on the Pro Football Focus grades, because seeing CJ Mosley with like a 40-something grade and watching every game and seeing him try and play hero ball, not out of ego, but out of necessity. And that's another guy who, new year in the system, shedded a ton of weight, different body, didn't play football the last 2 years. So is the Baltimore CJ Mosley gone forever? Yeah, probably. But I actually think, in his late 20s, we could see like a tick up in production from him this year. And now that he's focused on just doing his job of Mike linebacker, I think he'll do it very damn well.
Yeah,
and he won't have Jared Davis next to him anymore, and Ashton Davis will be pushed down the depth chart a little bit. That by himself should make him better. But again, the biggest thing I have with PFF is when they said GVR had a better season than AVT. Jeremy and I have talked about it incessantly, and to me, that discredited PFF completely. That was all I needed to know.
Yeah, there was so many things about PFF. I've lost all respect. There's just I have no faith in it. And I don't want to be a hypocrite, because I know when they say something positive, a lot of people run and say, oh, look, and they'll use PFF. If you're going to criticize PFF, like this is what I realized, and I told myself, if you're going to criticize them and you're going to go on these streams and criticize them, then I'm also not going to use them as evidence as either for positive things. I'm just basically going to say that PFF has some type of agenda that doesn't seem to be, either they're incompetent or they have an agenda. It's one or the other. Because when you sit there and tell me that GVR is better than AVT, it's either an agenda or you're not competent. Because I watch those games and there's just no way there's any truth to that, right? So, and also with CJ Mosley, rating him low as a 40, when you're watching him, and anybody that's been at the Jet games, because everybody that was at the game was saying, oh my God, he's the only guy he looks like he's the only guy playing even, he's like all over the field. Like, and then by the second half, he's exhausted, by the way. You could see that happened to him, that he was exhausted, because there's only so much you can do for so long until you break down.
We've all seen that. And Iowa has a good metaphor from green beans, which I definitely, in the chat, which I definitely agree with. But we've all had a job where, there's a bunch of new people around you, or during COVID and you're short staffed and you have to do the job of 3 people. It's mentally and physically exhausting. We've all experienced that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was me the last 6 months, but we won't go into that.
Get Y2K a raise. As long as we bundle it into a salary cap, front load it, so it's team friendly, we'll get you a raise.
Yeah. And
man.
Iowa makes another.
We'll go there.
Another good point from Iowa is, I mean, forget about it just being Whitehead. I mean, it's like, yes, super high quality player, championship level player, but even without even thinking about the upgrade to Whitehead, how about just the inconsistency in the safety position? How many safeties we burned through? How many injuries there were?
9 safeties last year.
9 safeties.
That's just who we started. That's how many we started, you said? Or how many wouldn't shock me. Yeah, that should be my next green bean trivia question. Name all 9 safeties we burned through in 2021.
You're so right though, Jeremy, because the guy, like when you're bringing in guys off the scrap heap, we all remember it's more obvious sometimes on offense when DJ Montgomery and Tariq Black are running the same route right into each other. But yeah, on defense, when these guys are coming in, they barely knowing the plays. And the cluster injuries, it seems like the Jets, like, last year we had league average number of injuries statistically, but when you get all the cluster injuries at wide receiver and at safety, it's hard in the NFL when you have like practice squad level players at any given position. The competition is too good. It's tough to stay afloat that way. So I feel like that is just unlikely to happen again.
Yeah, yeah. And by the way, I love what Quincy Adams said. Quincy Adams said some great things. One was, I love it when some people take accountability. And he took accountability and said, I was too focused on trying to make big hits, light people up. And he says, and because of that, I missed plays and I made mistakes that hurt the team. And that he wants to improve on that, it's wonderful to hear somebody say that and take ownership of that. But then he also said, oh, man, I'm feeling more comfortable now. I came in, and that also goes back to what you were saying, Buffalo, about CJ, right? CJ Mosley not being able to trust the players near him. Not that the players near him weren't being responsible or being, goofheads, but Quincy Adams was picked up in the middle of the season. He had no training camp. He had to learn our system on the fly. So, of course, he's going to be out of position, right? There was like very little time. Now he's at a full off season to learn this system. And he said it. He goes, I feel much more comfortable. I feel like I know where to be now. And I love the confidence of I'm going to be a Pro Bowler. That's great. Whatever. I'm just happy with I'm going to know where to be on the field. Like I understand the system. I'm going to be in the right place. I'm going to hold down my space. I'm going to do it with solid play. If you end up being a Pro Bowler, that's gravy. But I'm just happy that we're going to have another linebacker. If he's saying it, hopefully it's true, that understands this defense and what his role in the defense is.
Agreed. Oh, by the way, I did pull this up. Last season, the teams that lost the most games by injured players, so the number of total games missed by injured players. So the Jets were fourth behind the Giants, the Ravens, and the Titans. So we lost 296 games by injured players. When you
okay, so I was off on that. Okay, wow. All right. That's wow. That's rough.
Yeah, the Giants were first with 356, which is
the Giants
insane.
had it bad too. Yeah,
really bad. Yeah.
Man.
We hear the Raven fans complain about their injuries. Well, yeah, Giants had 356, Ravens were 343, the Titans were 336, and they still had the best record in the AFC. I mean, credit to Mike Vrabel, and the Jets were at 296. So, and strangely, the Lions were at 288. So, yeah, I mean, you have good teams that this happened to and bad teams that this happened to, but yeah, we were right near the top of the list. So, hey, we're top 5 in the league in something.
There you go. I'm high on Quincy Williams too, Jeremy, and he's one of those guys where I know there were some definite deficiencies in the game, and I guess I just have to admit, to me, it's a gut thing. I just got a good feeling about him as a football player, and gauging prospects coming out of college, I gotta admit, thank goodness my YouTube channel is so young because I got some ice cold takes on. So I thought Josh Rosen was going to be the truth. All right. But for me, when I see a pro, I don't need a big sample size to know who's got it. And I got a pretty good sense with that. And I think Quincy Williams does. And I know people might say, well, he couldn't even make the Jaguars. Well, since when are the Jaguars known for hanging on to good players? And he's football young. He's 25, but he only had 8 starts before joining us, as you mentioned, without a preseason in this new system. And I like that he identified the specific deficiencies in his game he's got to get better at. And obviously, nobody's going to outwork him. He's a workout warrior. So and he came through my TV. I mean, the flashes of speed and physicality and polish and chin straps. Love to see it. So I'm excited about him.
Yeah, ton of potential there.
I just want him to be a reliable starter. I'm not asking him to I'm not even asking him to be a difference maker. I just want him to make the plays he needs to make an impact play here or there, but I don't want to see him get burned. I want him to be a reliable starter. That's all I'm asking for from Quincy Williams. And with a full season with this team, I don't see any reason why he couldn't do it. He certainly has the physical abilities and he has the mental desires. So that works for me.
Yep.
Did you guys see Fant's tweet where he seemed a little salty about no extension?
I did. Yeah. Well, he responded with a GIF, I think is what he did, is what I saw, where he was like, yeah, that might be nice. Because of course a Jets fan had to tag Fant in Mika Fitzpatrick's new deal. So it's like, oh, thanks. We really need to get this going. That works out great for us. But
what would you pay Fant? And are you in a rush to get it done?
I'm not in a rush. I haven't thought about numbers, but I give him 3 years.
Yeah.
I don't. The Jets aren't going to give him more than 3. I'm willing to bet. If they won't give more than 3 years to a Carl Lawson or a Corey Davis or a Jordan Whitehead, they're not going to give 4 years to George Fan. I feel pretty confident in saying that. As far as a dollar figure goes, I guess I would go 10, 12 million. I would go a good 10, for as good as a pass blocker as he was last year. I would be willing to reward him. I just hope it's not a situation where they kind of like with Jamal, where they reached out to him. Now they didn't say anything publicly like they did with Jamal, where JD said we want to make him a Jet for life. I just hope they haven't reached out to him about contracts, says, hey, we want to extend you, and then they've said nothing. That would be my only concern, because we want our front office to be men of their word. That would be my only fear here.
Yeah.
I say we extend them 3 years after this year, 15 million a year, 45 million,
15.
25 guaranteed. I think that's what it's going to take, honestly.
It will. It's gonna, it depends. If he comes out and plays right tackle, then maybe that number. That's why I'm not in a rush to get it done this summer, because to my eye last year that was as good of a season at left tackle since probably 2013. Age 30 to Brickashaw Ferguson gave up 1 sack. Now he was average at right tackle the year before and then a swing tackle prior. So was last year a flash in the pan, or is he a late bloomer who finally found the right spot and the right system for him? I think I'd like a little bit bigger of a sample size to find out. And he also had a knee surgery at the end of last year, which everyone seems to forget about.
Yeah.
So a guy who's 325 pounds, about to be 30, coming off a knee, I'd like to wait a little bit to find out which side of the ball he's on, how the knee looks. And a sweet spot, so you don't have to deal with the free agency. Maybe the timing of JFM's extension last year. So maybe in October, you got 5 or 6 more games to feel like the knee's good. If he has 5 more starts, say it's left tackle, that's a nice even 20 starts at left tackle. Then you can go ahead and pull the trigger. But I'm not in a rush to sign him right now to an extension.
The more we talk about this, the more intrigued I am by signing Riley Reef if they could get him. Chances are they made offers to him, to Ogunjobi, to Alexander. They said, this is what we're willing to offer. And I think they're just waiting to see who takes a bite out of the apple first. I think it's just that kind of a situation. I don't think they're really willing to negotiate with these guys. They have their value in mind for these players, just like they did for a lot of other free agents out there on the market. And it sounds like the Jets pretty much hold firm and fast to what they believe a player is worth. And I think Reef is one as well. And it's strange because I've really wanted to upgrade the defense, because my biggest fear about this team is, can they stop the run? That is the biggest concern that I have about this team. But a bigger concern could be if Fant or Becton go down for an extended period of time.
That's the biggest, because I think swing tackle, besides backup quarterback, is the most important backup position on your team, because almost nothing will get you beat faster than if you roll out a Chuma Adoga or a Connor McDermott protecting the blind side of Zach Wilson. That can't. And I know Tigo would not like this because he loves Max Mitchell, and I'm not going to pretend like I've logged hours of film on Max Mitchell. But for me, as a 4th round pick, until further notice, the projected role for Max Mitchell is a developmental swing tackle on this team. And if you could stick as a swing tackle, a solid swing tackle in the 4th round pick, excellent selection. Great. But if there's an injury in September, do I feel great about Max Mitchell, lining up against Myles Garrett week 2? No, I don't like that.
No, that's a bad situation.
You have to put a tight end there full time to block, because we're not going one-on-one with that. No, put Nick Bawden there. I feel better about Nick Bawden blocking him one-on-one, to be honest.
Tyler Conklin was the best pass blocking tight end in the league last year. There was I watched a few games on him. There was 2 snaps against the Arizona Cardinals. They put him one-on-one against Chandler Jones. No sacks, no pressures. On one of the plays, he put Chandler on the ground, and Kirk Cousins hit Jefferson for a 60-yard touchdown. So
wow,
I love to see that.
I think you'll see 1 to 2 of these guys sign with us, and what they're waiting for is injuries. They're waiting for an opportunity where another organization has an injury and is desperate and pays them more money. So it's kind of like a stare down contest. But I think as we get deeper into camp, as we move forward in the upcoming weeks, there's a chance that you'll see some of those guys sign for sure.
Yeah. Reef especially. I think he's waiting. Someone twists an ankle, he's going to get a starting gig.
Do we know if he's met with any other teams?
It's a great question.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything else about him. But I will say this: as much as we thank Seattle for the Jamal Adams trade, we should be thanking Minnesota just as much. They deserve just as much credit. We made the AVT trade with them. We convinced them to take Chris Herndon for a 4th-round pick, and then we took Tyler Conklin away from them. I mean, we have schooled them not once like we did with Seattle. We have schooled them multiple times. So yeah, I mean, forget we talk about Seattle. They see the New Jersey area code, the 201 area code. I hope it tastes good, Jeremy. We see the 201 area code come through. They hang up immediately. I think the battery falls out of the phone and on the floor. I think the same thing happens in Minneapolis, St. Paul, when they see a phone call coming from New Jersey. They ain't even picking the phone up anymore. For
Absolutely.
JD. So,
and you mentioned the Joe Douglas having his walkaway number. I mean, the death of the Jets tax has got to be one of Joe Douglas's biggest accomplishments. And all it took was just to refuse to do it, just to say, I'm not going to pay you any more than you're worth. And then part of it, and I'll say this about Coach Sala too. And you mentioned he's a guy who resonates with the players. I have a feeling there are other head coaches with a similar resume that some of these guys wouldn't sign up to play for. I really do. I really feel like having Jordan Whitehead and CJ Uzama, guys who just played in the Super Bowl in the last 2 years, who are still in their 20s, who didn't get blown away with money, coming to play here. I got to feel like some of that is about our head coach, and that's great to see.
It truly is. I mean, when they asked Jordan Whitehead in the press conference, what made you want to leave? You won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. You play with this guy. You play with that guy. You have a great situation. What would ever make you want to come to the Jets? Coach Sala. That's all he had to say was Coach Sala. Right there, I was like, wow. I don't know what this guy says on the phone. Well, I guess we kind of do based off the draft pick videos. I hope that you know what I want to see on Flight. I want to hear some recordings of the phone calls between Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas, and these potential players and these free agents who they talk to. I want to know what they said to get these guys on board. What sells these players on the Jets? It's obviously not the winning tradition. So there has to be something else. Now, of course, money has a lot to do with it. Money talks. We know what walks. But it has to take more than that, especially for like a Jordan Whitehead, to leave Tampa Bay and come to the Jets. I feel like now it's more than just money to get players to come to the Jets, and we're going to see more of that as the years go forward.
Well, that one of the things he said, one of the things that he did say, Whitehead, was he wasn't too thrilled about his usage in Tampa Bay. He didn't like coming out of the game in situations where they would take him out of the game. So we do have to be aware that when you come to him coming to the Jets, he's coming in now as the veteran big guy, like our number one trusted safety. And I think that meant something to him too. Like I could stay here where they take me out of key situations. They don't have complete trust in me being, a full, let me mute him, a full, 4 down safety. And now I come into the Jets and he's our number one safety. Like he's our guy. So I think that doesn't hurt either. But yeah, you got to believe in the coach. If he didn't believe in Saleh, there's no way there weren't other opportunities for him to, other teams for him to go to. There's no way. So he definitely felt good about the coach in the situation here. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, a 25-year-old, durable, rock solid football player like that, he had offers. And it's interesting because when I first started seeing these signings roll in, like I think Whitehead and Conklin in particular, when I saw the money and then I watched the player, read about the player, I kept thinking, I was like, what gives? Why are we getting these guys on the cheap? But it wasn't on the cheap. I had just never seen players sign for the New York Jets for market value in my life. It's just an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing to see. And Joe Douglas, to me, I know he's got 6 wins in 2 years, but I'm ready to say I do. I'm ready to commit to Joe Douglas. I really am, because Jeremy is married. I don't know if Watsuke is still living that bachelor life, but look, I got engaged.
I'm here, right?
He's here. I got engaged when I was 23, and did I know every single did we know every single decision, every single thing we did together was going to go right and all that? No, but you agree to the core principles of a person, right? And the core principles of Joe Douglas. I mean, the combination of a respect for analytics, what some might call manalytics, the shrewd business acumen, and the raw football bravado. Sign me up. And sign me up for what he's not going to do, which is pay Tremaine Johnson or Darrell Revis or Le'Veon Bell to not be Jets. He's too disciplined. And even if these players don't pan out in this draft and Joe Douglas was wrong, then so was everyone on earth. Because who didn't like Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall, Jermaine Johnson? You know what I mean? And even if Zach Wilson doesn't pan out, picking quarterback is the hardest thing to do. I'd give him a shot at another one. I can't imagine a situation where he doesn't live out this 6-year contract. I'm really sold on JD.
I agree. I still think a lot of that 2020 draft, I would not be surprised if he was drafting players to fit Adam Gase, Dowell Loggins, those types of guys. So I don't want to say I give him a pass on 2020 because at the end of the day, talent is talent. But if we could at least come out of that draft with Bryce Hall, Mekhi Becton, and Denzel Mims just contributing a little bit, I'll be like, okay, the draft was okay. It's not the complete disaster that some people would have you think it is. But in 2021 is where we really started to see it. And there were decisions there that I did not understand at all in that draft, particularly once you start to look at the defensive players. A lot of us had front seven guys in mind. We had pass rushers in mind. We had linebackers in mind. And they went in a completely different direction with these hybrid type players. I mean, before the draft, how many Jets fans knew who Jamian Sherwood was, or Hamza Nasruddin, or who knew there was another Michael Carter out there? Dom C might have known, but the regular fans, I didn't know who these guys were. So I said, okay, they are clearly doing something, particularly on defense, that I have not seen before, that I don't know what they're doing. But it's okay that I don't know what they're doing. It just matters that the Jets know what they're doing. So let's see what happens here. We started to see a little bit of it, but this past year, it was very vanilla. It was very much a bend, don't break defense when possible. And losing the players that they lost had a lot to do with it. Losing Carl Lawson, losing LaMarcus Joyner, losing Vinny Curry. Those losses were big. Well, they have all three of those players back now. Plus, they've added a whole lot more. I think we are going to see a radically different defensive team than what we saw the last couple of years. I really think they could be in the upper half of defensive teams in this league if they can limit the run. And this is a point I'm going to make. I'm going to make a video on this, but I'm going to break this here. I haven't heard many people say this at all. One of the biggest things that the Jets can do to win games this year is not fall behind early, because their strengths are running the ball and rushing the passer. They get ahead. They can send the freaking house after these quarterbacks and control the clock with their running game. That's what it's all about. But if the other team is in a position to run down the clock, control time of possession, and we have to throw the ball, and the other team knows that it's coming, it's going to make things a lot harder unless Zach Wilson suddenly becomes that transcendent quarterback that we all want him to be. So getting ahead of the opposition early is going to go a long way to getting wins this season, in my opinion.
It's a great point. And I think that, somebody just mentioned ground and pound, and, the Jets, we've added some Lamborghinis, some Ferraris, right? Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, some speedy playmakers. But I think that when this coaching staff has the horses they want, I think this is going to be a really physical offense. I think you're going to see some 21-12 personnel. I think Nick Bawden's going to be on the field more than people think. Mm-hmm. And I love to see that. And I think you're going to see Zach Wilson, not with a huge volume of throws, but I think you'll see the average air yards increase. I think when they do pass out of play action, you're going to see bigger shots down the field, because that was one of my critiques last year. And again, you got to take everything with a grain of salt just because of limited talent and a rookie quarterback. With the play calling on offense, I need to see more throws past the sticks on first and second down, because you can't do this thing where you throw a screen on first down and it's 2nd and 7, and then you run it and it's 3rd and 3. And now you're putting yourself to having to convert 4 or 5 third downs to have to score. You need to steal chunks of yards and take chances on early downs. And being ahead in the game, like Adam mentioned, allows you to be, keep the defense honest. You're down 14-0, and now all of a sudden your scripted plays, you kind of have to go away from that because now you're trying to go pass heavy just to catch up. So that's a really good point.
I think that if all they got to do for Nick Bowden is like have a giant picture of his girlfriend on the sideline, and when they call a play that he's in, say, she's going to leave you if you don't execute this play well.
Oh, does he have a good-looking girlfriend or something?
Oh my God!
My God!
Hello.
Opens a second tab. All right, hold on.
We'll give you a minute and just make sure you're sitting down. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
She's pretty special. So, they just got to remind him. Say you want, like if that's his incentive, make the team, be a star. You get to marry this one. I think we're going to see some great things out of him. So.
Hey, that's all the motivation I would need. That's all I can tell you. John would appreciate it. We got the salty nuts right here, and nice. They are fantastic.
Nice, but look, I think there's no question about it. We're assuming that that's our strength, right? We're saying if things fall the way we want them to fall, we're going to be a team that can run the ball really, really well. Not only run the ball really well and own the time of possession, but run the ball really well and actually score some points with some big home run plays, because we have some home run hitting running backs. If we're grinding down the defensive line and we're flipping, Carter and Breece Hall and rotating them in and out, there's going to be some, when you get these guys into space, if you're blocking and putting them in space enough times, one of them is going to break one. So there's going to be some of that too. And you want to be in that position. You want to be in the position to get the ball in their hands. You want to be in a position to run a lot and grind down the other team's defensive line. So when we get into that fourth quarter, we could just eat them alive. And then on top of it all is if we are forcing, 8-9 guys in the box and putting tons of pressure on them to have to come up and stop our run, what better situation can Zach Wilson be in? Because, obviously it brings that play action. You see what it did to Tannehill's career to be able to, drop back and now get these one-on-ones with guys like Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Garrett Wilson, to be getting one-on-ones with those kind of players. If we're running the ball well, we're going to be a very big problem for our opposition.
And as I recall, I believe that was one of Zach's weaknesses early on in the season. I mean, people talked about turnovers and things like that and missing the short passes, but he didn't really thrive off of the play action pass last year, as I remember it happening. Maybe in the second half of the year, it did get better, but that's one aspect of his game that we do need some steady improvement on, especially with the upgraded run game that we do have.
Yeah. That was definitely true, and the stats bear that he was awful at a play action early on. And I've been trying to watch, more film, try to get better with the X's and O's and the terminology. And I'm not going to pretend I've turned into Joe Blewett overnight. But what I will say about the play action thing is that as a young quarterback, when you come out of play action, so much of the play has already developed. So now the timing you have to make a decision is almost cut in half. Whereas if you're backing up out of center or you're snapping the ball out of shotgun, you have like an extra second and a half of your eyes down the field watching the play. So play action, those are really big rhythm, anticipation, chemistry throws that I think our young quarterback, it makes sense that a younger quarterback would struggle there. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
It does. It does.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, also for play action to work, the other team has to respect your running.
And your tight ends are huge in play action too. So if Tyler Croft is running up the seam, San Francisco's play action worked really well because George Kittle was cooking him up the seam. So
yeah, exactly. So I mean, part of it is just talent to be able to execute things. But again, we don't talk about it enough, and I would thought about it last year before last year's season began, and honestly, I got it from I don't even know who he is. I just saw a YouTube video from this Jets fan who talked about, and he seemed to have the numbers and the stats about this system, and followed it from Washington, Atlanta, San Francisco, and the whole Shanahan offensive scheme. And he had numbers about first year and second year and what happens in this system year two. And it consistently it wasn't like 3 or 4 point improvement. We're talking about 8 to 11 points for all of those teams per game in this system. So there's this natural jump for this offensive system to because it's so complicated, because and that's why they were so stuck on this. When people were saying, oh well, why don't you adjust, if we don't have the talent, we don't, because they understand this system, you don't back away from it, because then you got to learn it. So they were very stubbornly said, this is the system, and we are going to work and put it and keep getting players until we find the right guys for every piece to fill and work this system, because we know the system works. So I'm looking forward to just year 2 of this scheme and just the natural improvement and growth that's going to come from the system itself. And then when you consider the upgrades and the improvement that we've put on top of it, we brought in an all-pro guard who knows and played this exact system, right? So that's clutch and key right there. That's a huge thing, to bring in an all-pro veteran guard that knows this exact system, that doesn't have to relearn it, to plug in that piece. And then you bring in the talent of a Breece Hall. With him, it's not about system. You give this kid the ball, he's about instinct and about just making things happen, making magic. So, and now Elijah Moore's in year 2 of this system. I think we're going to see an explosion from that. I think we're going to see an explosion from Corey Davis. I think we're going to see a great improvement from him. And I've been hearing obviously Denzel Mims, we're hearing amazing things. We're hearing Jeff Smith is excelling, second year in the system. And then I think Garrett Wilson, again, I don't expect or put too much on him because he's a rookie. But the good news is the number one thing you hear about Garrett Wilson above all else is he's a super hard, dedicated worker who's asking tons of questions. And that's exactly what you want to hear from a rookie.
One of the things we have to remember with Garrett Wilson, wide receivers, Jamar Chase is the exception. Wide receivers are not going to peak in their first season. Like running backs tend to peak very early on. Like Devontae Adams, it took him a couple of years to get to 1,000 yards. I don't think it happened until about year 4 or year 5 for him. So let's just keep that in mind. With certain positions, you can get a good feel for what they are early on. Wide receiver, you want to see glimpses, but it's not likely you're going to see a whole lot of, 1,000 yards is asking a lot from a rookie wide receiver. But you want to see glimpses, you want to see some big plays, and you want to see some signs that, okay, this is a player that was a smart pick in this spot, and he can definitely get better from here. So let's not anoint Garrett Wilson as our number one wide receiver immediately. Rather, that's something he could grow into. I think early on, I want to see Corey Davis and Elijah Moore get the bulk of the wide receiver reps.
I think you will. And I think that's what, the talk from Wilson out of camp has been kind of quiet. And I was, however you feel about Connor Rogers, I don't know. The guy's at practice every day, so I got to listen to some of what he says. And he's saying that, Garrett Wilson he's a hard worker, looks the part, all that, moves, built different, looks great, but that it's overwhelming learning this offense. We saw the same thing with Elijah Moore last year. There's no doubt about it in my mind, Y2K, that Elijah Moore and Corey Davis are going to be getting the first and second amount of targets early in the year. And then I think it's great because then Garrett Wilson, we don't have to try and force feed him the ball because he's our only option or try and justify the pick. He can just get his production within the flow of the offense. And I think we're set up really nicely to do that. And then maybe after the bye week, maybe then, he's getting more targets than Corey Davis. I'm higher on Corey Davis than most Jets fans. So overall, this is a really good problem to have. And then I might keep Corey Davis. You got Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson both on their rookie deals. I'm fine, throwing Corey Davis a little extension until he's 29, 30 as well. And I know Watu, you agree with me on this. I like a little Eric Decker, a little big slot, a lot more out of Corey Davis this year. Get him matched up against some 5'10" nickel corners, let him eat. That sounds like first downs all day. So I really think the different skill sets of these wide receivers and how they can all play the X, the slot, and the Z, it's really, really exciting.
I think you might have seen my video. Yeah, today I actually put a video up for those who didn't see it. I put up a video of the case for Corey Davis, which is also an article that I wrote. And I decided to put it into video form just because I was getting a little bit tired of the Corey Davis slander, and I chose to stick up for him. Not because he went to high school 5 minutes from where I used to live. That had nothing to do with it. It was just a nice side benefit, as it turns out. But yeah, I definitely wanted to stick. I wanted to stick up for him, and I felt it was something that was worth making a point for. And I wanted to address all those criticisms. I wanted to go after the drops. I wanted to go after the injuries, and I wanted to go after the contract and respond to all 3 of those criticisms. And I felt it was. I got to say, it was a fun article to research, and I enjoyed making the video. So, here's what I'll say: if you're a Corey Davis doubter, just give it a look. See what you think. I'm not saying that this guy, like I said in the video, we're not claiming this guy is Stephon Diggs or DeAndre Hopkins.
But he's not getting paid like them.
Is exactly. And compared to the salaries of some of these other wide receivers in the league, and you tell me which one of them you want over Corey Davis, because I couldn't find one of them. And I listed about 8 guys, So, yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. But one other thing I want to say about this, and going back to Garrett Wilson, he is not going to have as much production as some of these other receivers will, like a Treylon Burks, where Tennessee will probably need him to start immediately because they're basically bereft of other wide receivers. So halfway through the season, you might see articles about ranking the draft classes halfway through the first season. Where do they all stand? You're like, what were the Jets thinking drafting Garrett Wilson? He has no production. He's probably not going to get as much time on the field. So again, don't fall for what ESPN is shoveling. Same thing with PFF and all these websites who are trying to give us the clickbait and trying to get us to react, and then they sit back and have a good laugh at our expense. The whole thing is a journey. It is, I know we hate the work, but it is a process. This stuff takes time. When Garrett Wilson is ready to emerge and gets his opportunity, he will emerge, and Mike LaFleur, I believe, will find the right way to use him.
Yeah, and he's got, I think, he's just a perfect fit for the offense too. I mean, the route running versatility. My favorite thing about him is the yak ability. I mean, he's almost, when he gets the ball in the open field, he looks like a running back or a kick returner almost. A little shorter limbs, low center of gravity, really shifty, but plays a lot stronger than that 190 pounds. And I remember when I was doing, there's some stats that stuck in my mind from when I was doing just like the mock drafts and stuff before he was even a Jet. And he had, his missed tackle rate was insane. It was like on 27% of his catches, he forced a missed tackle, which is bonkers. On his contested catch percentage was elite. And then on screens, there's a really interesting stat. They threw a ton of screens to him at Ohio State. On his average target for a screen pass. So every time, even if he didn't catch it, although a screen is a highly completable pass, just saying, on the average time they targeted Garrett Wilson on a screen, he gained 11 yards. So to gain a first down on average every time they throw you a screen, that's incredible. So I think he's the kind of guy where, you just get him the ball in space and let him do his thing. And it's a lot that we saw with Berrios and with Moore last year. And I like those guys. They're shifty, but I think Garrett Wilson he's got an extra gear and an extra bag than both of those guys in the open field. So the sweeps, the reverses, the tunnel screens, You just get him the ball and watch him go. And then you get him on a little tunnel screen and Mekhi Becton out there clearing the way for him. Oh, love to see that.
You know what that tells me,
Mm.
based on what you just said, Buffalo? Obviously, you have to have good blocking in front of you. But the other things it tells me, when you're getting 11 yards,
Jeremy
in
Rucker
straight
was blocking for him.
that helps. But hey, and now we got the best. Well, hey, now Rucker's got to deal with the best pass blocking tight end in football. So statistically, but it tells me he has great vision. He's intelligent. He's got good footwork, which we already knew about Wilson. But you have to know what you're doing. This is not just run right down the field. You have to be shifty. You have to be quick. You have to be sudden, and you have to be smart and instinctual. That tells me good football instincts, and that is something that excites me because you can't teach instincts. It's a God-given thing, you know. So that makes me even more excited about Garrett Wilson just hearing that stat.
And it, you know what? And when I watched some other receivers, when I watched, for example, like Drake London, I'm like, yeah, it's a good receiver. Even when I watched Denzel Mims at college, I'm like, yeah, that's a good receiver. When I watched Garrett Wilson, I just think that's a football player. You know, it's just different. He just moves different. His feel is different. His balance down the sideline, his body control in midair and the vertical is just cartoonish. He's like mossing people at 5'11". He's just got a really, that's why even trying to do like a pro comp for him, you know, I'm not saying he's going to be better than any receiver ever, obviously, but it was hard to find a receiver with like similar traits. He's just kind of a funky, he's built different in a good way.
I mean, yeah, I've heard Beckham, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it's very hard to do a player comparison with him. It's challenging. I felt like with Breece Hall, kind of like Le'Veon Bell, I could sort of see that. But yeah, Garrett Wilson just seems like a very, very good all around wide receiver. He may not be the best wide receiver in one particular thing, but there isn't anything. But he does everything well.
He's got the highest floor too. To me, that's why I like that we took him. I mean, Jamison Williams, when both healthy, I probably would have went that way. But when it's close and you go with the guy who doesn't have a torn ACL and Drake London, you know, I'm not as much of a hater as most people were on him. I'll just say I'm glad that he went at 8. I'll leave it at that.
I was turning cartwheels. I was almost as happy for that as when Stingley was picked third. Because, hey, Jeremy, didn't we say this?
Yeah.
Leading into the draft, we are not the ones making these decisions for these teams. These teams that drafting ahead of us are dumb. They are known for making dumb football decisions. Jacksonville, Detroit, Houston. This is not Pittsburgh, Green Bay, and Baltimore.
Right.
We expected, and with like each decision outside of Aiden Hutchinson, Trayvon Walker, we were like, yay! Right. Derek Stingley, bigger yay! So
they struggle for a reason as organizations. You know what excites me about Garrett Wilson is that although I don't think Garrett Wilson year one is going to be an 80+ reception, he's not Jamal. He's not going to be this outlier superstar 1,000+ yard receiver year one. I think he's going to give us some big plays. He's it's gonna be exciting even as a rookie. It's not like he's gonna have this quiet rookie season and not do anything. I think there are going to be flashes that are going to be super exciting for all the reasons you guys are saying. What I love about him is if you make one mistake on him, covering him, one mistake, you're done. Like if he fakes you, if he does look a little short step or stutter, like he's in a cut and that safety bites, you are finished because his explosion after making that little cut move, it's going to be very hard for any defender to recover because his like the speed at which he accelerates from doing like kind of a fake move to being full speed is elite.
In and out of his cuts, in and out of his breaks. And if you're going to press him, you better hit him. If you miss, he's gone. And his balance down the sideline is elite. And he has I never heard this trait before until I was like digging a little bit deeper into him. And I don't know if it was, I think it was one of the guys from JetSax. They said he has really good long speed. And when you watch him, the longer the route develops, it's almost impossible for anyone to catch up with him. He just pulls away the longer he's being covered. And he's really good against, we haven't had a guy who could win on these kind of routes Santonio Holmes is really good about it. But those drags and those crossers where you just line up a receiver at the X and you just tell them sprint across the field and make somebody, catch up with you. I really feel like, we don't have to scheme and do bells and whistles and rubs and motion. It's like, Garrett Wilson, be more talented than the guy lining up across from you. That's every successful quarterback has a receiver that they can do that with. Where in Kansas City, it's third and Kelsey. In Buffalo, it's third and Diggs. In Cincinnati, it's third and Chase. You need a guy where everyone knows where the ball is going, but it's a key situation, and you don't have to go through 4 different reads. You take a 3-step drop. You let it rip. They've practiced it 1,000 times. Like, you need some of those. You need some one read throws. And now I think we got a couple of guys in Moore and Wilson who could be that guy.
I see Garrett Wilson being kind of like maybe a cross or kind of like a Tyreek Hill / Amari Cooper.
That weirdly makes sense to me.
I feel like there's only one Tyreek Hill. I feel like there's only one Tyreek Hill.
Well, I just think he has some of his speed. Some of Tyreek Hill. I see him more of Tyreek Hill with like some of the sweeps we were talking about and using them outside of the receiver position. And I see the Amari Cooper potential in just the separation and ability for crisp route running, which is something that's not there yet for him. I think it's something that is going to be there for him.
Yeah, there's 2 guys
become an excellent route runner. Go ahead.
Yeah, like I really pictured like Tyreek Hill's like stockiness and then like stretch him out a little bit from Amari Cooper, and I saw Garrett Wilson's body pop up, so it was like it worked in my mind. And I think obviously Tyreek Hill is the fastest player in pads I've ever seen, but I get what you're saying. To me, 2 names come up, and I know people want you to name a Hall of Fame All-Pro player every time you do a pro comp. Hey, I started my pro comp series calling Breece Hall, Edgerrin James. All right, so you got your Hall of Famer there. Yeah. But to me, Garrett Wilson moves a little bit like Tyler Lockett, and he moves a little bit like a stronger prime T.Y. Hilton. A couple of guys who look pretty good to me. And, if he can do that, be a perennial 1,000-yard guy like those guys are, I think we have to let go of every first-round pick has to be like a perennial all-pro Hall of Famer. If I get Tyler Lockett out of Garrett Wilson, I'm signing up for that all day.
I just hope he can be our Debo. We're talking forever about Debo.
Yeah.
he seems versatile enough to play that kind of a role. So, I mean, I'm not saying they have the exact same traits, but that's one thing I'd be looking for. Yeah, Tyreek Hill, I'm sorry. Tyreek Hill's not an overrated player. Just because he shunned us, it doesn't make him overrated.
We can hate him, but he's still a great
player.
On.
The way that he played in Buffalo, some of those plays that he makes, I've been watching football for 30 to 35 years. I literally have never seen another player make those kinds of plays that he can make. His agility and speed, the combination, I don't think I've seen anything like it. Thankfully, Tua is there to neutralize that for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the play in Buffalo where the playoff game where the safety is ahead of him and has the angle on him, and he's throwing him the peace sign because he knows he's going to outrun him to the pylon.
And these are good safeties. Hyde and Poyer are great safeties. They're probably the 2. That's the best safety tandem in football, in my opinion.
The 2 most complete, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love those guys. My gosh, I mean, I wish I had one. I wish we could have one of those players, but.
Yeah.
What about Blitz? What about Bodden?
Well, I think it's funny because it's not the first time I've heard the possibility of Ruckert being used as a fullback as a possibility. I've heard people kind of hint at that. It would be a way of, I guess, but I think they really like Nick Bowden. I think he did a really great job. I think he allowed us to start utilizing the 2-1 personnel, 2-2 personnel. I think when we were in the beginning of the year, we kind of had to abandon it because, the whole experiment of using a tight end blew up in our face. And I think that when we got Nick Bowden, we were able to really, that helped LaFleur really open up and be the offense that he wants to be and be the creative coordinator he wants to be, because he got the right tool. He got a guy who can do what he needed to do as a fullback. So I don't see Jeremy Ruckert being used that way, but I think that Jeremy Ruckert might play more than we think this year, or not more than we think, but he might play some this year. But I don't know if you're going to see him more because like making big catches. I think they're going to want to get him in there to help the running game. I think they're going to be excited about what he can do as a blocker.
Sounds good. And Bawden is another midseason acquisition. I mean, it's interesting that we're getting these midseason acquisitions. Nick Bawden, Quincy Williams from lousy teams, but somehow they seem to fit our system pretty dang well.
No,
so that is pretty crazy. Yeah, Dakota's clearly not a Tyreek Hill fan. I think we've established that in the chat.
He is not a Tyreek Hill fan.
I don't like what he did or what he said, but I'm not going to take away from his talent. I'm sorry. I can't do that.
Yeah. And we can mention DJ Reed, and look, Tyreek Hill is not a wide receiver you can cover with any single one player, unless we're gonna, Deion Sanders is hopping in a time machine anytime soon. There isn't a cornerback in the league. How you defend Tyreek Hill is you play 2 high safeties and you try and hit his quarterback before he can outrun you.
That Sauce Hill matchup is going to be pretty interesting. I will be looking forward to that. But again, I expect a whole lot of screen passes. I think Miami just may as well go to the wild card or to the wishbone and just screen pass. They may as well just run the ball and do screen passes. I mean, they're going to set football back 60 years.
I'm looking forward to Sauce Diggs. I think just stylistically, more of just 2 technicians, 2 dogs who will talk a lot of trash. I'm looking forward to that. And I think that's a matchup I think I can live with a little bit more one-on-one. Again, I love Sauce, but Tyreek Hill one-on-one against anybody. I'd rather, Stephon Diggs eating us up 8 to 15 yards at a time rather than, Sauce as a rookie makes one wrong step and Tyreek Hill's going 75 yards to the house.
I have a feeling there'll be a couple of jersey exchanges after those games where Sauce will be holding the hill. He'll be like, he'll have the hat facing like that way, right? Up and out that way to the side. You know,
he looks like a mumble rapper for sure. He's
that's going to be happening.
You know what I think is great for Sauce Gardner is that in practice and in camp, he's going to get to go against Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Denzel Mims. He's going to
the immortal Jeff Smith. Don't forget Jeff Smith.
And Jeff Smith, but he's going to get to go against different styles of players. Like he's going to get to go up against like a Garrett Wilson type that might prepare him for a Tyreek Hill. He's going to go against the Corey Davis, which might help him prepare for a little bit of those bigger receivers. Denzel Mims, no matter what anybody wants to say about him, is freakish with his speed and size. It's really great for our cornerbacks to be able to work against those guys. It's that whole steel sharpening steel, right? But what a great way for Sauce Gardner to adjust to the NFL, to get to go against these guys in camp, against very high quality wide receivers with different skill sets, to prepare him. So when he does go into the NFL games, when the games do start, he's not going to be blown away. It's not going to be things that he hasn't seen before as far as the talent on the other side of the line of scrimmage, because he's doing it and he's experiencing it. And that's part of like a really good plus factor for us in having such a talented wide receiver room, because it helps our cornerbacks. And then vice versa, it's going to help the running backs. The wide receivers. It's going to help Garrett Wilson to have to go against Reed and Sauce Gardner and get a feel for what NFL coverage is like. And let's not forget Michael Carter II.
Yep, absolutely. And I know some of it kind of becomes like fodder for media talking about the culture and the guys, this guy's got the dog in him, but that stuff's real. When guys like CJ Uzama and Jordan Whitehead and DJ Reed and Carl Austinback, when these guys, walk out onto the practice facility, the expectations are up a notch. The energy is gonna. I would love to, get to a training camp at some point, but I can bet you already, even at mini camp, the vibe from this year to last year, I can guarantee you it's different. And as DJ Bieniemy has pointed out, they're not playing any Jack Harlow, which we love to see.
The soon-to-be departing DJ. So he will be leaving in 9 days. We wish him the best in his future endeavors, most likely with the Miami Herald or the Key Biscayne Times, whatever the hell they have down in South Florida.
Hey, I have nothing against DJ personally. I really don't.
No, just put it this way: anything was going to be better after Manish Mehta. So yeah,
Yeah.
he was the guy who followed the guy. It's like Salah following Adam Gase. You couldn't get any lower than that, right?
You know who'd be the greatest person to replace him? The greatest thing to happen for Jets fans, if he wanted the job. I don't know if this is what this person wants, but loyal Jets fan. Jets loyal Ali, loyal Jets, New York loyal Jets fan would be perfect. Can you imagine if that was if somehow he got that opportunity and took it, and he was the Daily News, beat guy for the Jets? I respect the hell out of his work and what he does. And he's honest. He's honest. He's not a homer. He loves the Jets, but he's not a homer. I think he'd be amazing, and it's somebody we could really trust to give us great analysis. And I would love that, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think that he's in college, and as much as he's already accomplished as a journalist for the Jets and a Jets guy, I don't think he's at that point yet. I think he's going to finish school, but I'm just saying he would be an amazing person to be in that position.
David White Upton's really good.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I heard him on Jake's show. He was awesome. Yeah. To hear him talk to was really good. Yeah.
He's got the Jets Way. He's got like a daily Jets blog or paper, whatever you want to call it. It's free. I'd recommend anyone in the chat signing up to it. It's a good read every day. So yeah, it's nice to have. And he actually does legitimate journalism. Like I was reading, he did a write up either today or yesterday on UDFA linebacker DQ Thomas, and I'm reading and I'm like, and then he mentions, oh, his pass coverage Pro Football Focus grade was this, and I'm like, oh great, I still don't know if he can cover. And then he goes, but I called this coach from this other team that he played, and this coach said all this amazing stuff about his coverage skills, and I'm like, oh, authentic first person journalism from a Jets reporter. So you love to see it.
Oh, you know what? I forgot also Little Boy Green.
Oh yeah, we love
Esden. Wouldn't that?
The problem is every time I read one of his articles, I would just imagine him actually reading it and speaking like at 200 words per minute.
All right, here. So the passing game, we got some chutzpah now, boys and girls. Do we now?
We are ready to go.
Dynamite, guys! Dynamite flying through the air. It's amazing. Are you kidding me with this?
Why does Dakota hate Tyreek Hill so much? The Boy Green Trio will be in Atlantic City this week, Vegas next weekend. We're going on the road.
So Blitz League has a interesting little thing. I guess opinion here. More likely to make a Pro Bowl this year, Becton or Carl Lawson? Well, that's an interesting question. I would say because Carl Lawson doesn't necessarily get high sack totals, but we know his impact. And since everybody is so prejudicial on that one statistic, I would have to say if one of them was going to make it, I would say Becton is more likely.
I'm looking at which position might be easier to make the Pro Bowl at. Yeah, because they don't even do straight AFC, NFC still. I feel like they divide it all up at this point. Who pays? Aren't they redoing the Pro Bowl roster and how they select it? I think
there's like 6 alternates or whatever. Like Mac Jones is a Pro Bowler.
Exactly. So I'm thinking about who's going to drop out. I'm thinking about all of this. I got to be honest. I just have, if I had to bet on one player having a full season, I'm betting on Carl Lawson. So to me, availability and reliability, those are the best abilities. And I think Lawson's going to have a big impact on this team. I think that is why I have a lot of confidence in this defense bouncing back the way I think that it can. It's because Carl Lawson, I think, is going to be the leader of this defense. Just as much as CJ Mosley, if not more. So I'm going to go with Carl Lawson.
I'd probably, I think I'd align with Jeremy's logic. Now, I think Carl Lawson, if I had, it's kind of tricky because the Pro Bowl is like, it's a subjective thing. I think Carl Lawson will be better at his position, most likely, than Mekhi Becton will be next year. We just have more evidence, a track record of Carl Lawson doing that in the NFL. But Carl Lawson, the year that got him paid with the Jets, he had, I think, 6.5 sacks, and his career high is 8. And usually the Pro Bowl guys at edge, it's like a minimum of like 11 or 12. So to anticipate him to double his sack production from his last healthy season coming off of an Achilles, that's tough. So I'd probably go Becton for that reason. But it's not, Pro Bowl isn't like the end all be all of who's the more valuable player.
I just don't trust Becton to be on the field for a full 17 games. That's
fair.
The overarching.
But what about Carl Lawson? He's had 3 season-ending injuries.
I know I've seen his work ethic because we've seen the videos of him running on the treadmill and stuff like that. And I think he knows what he needs to do to come back. He knows how his body best functions. Mekhi Becton is still learning himself. He is learning what weight he best performs at, what body shape, what he needs to eat, what he needs to work out. He's still, I'm not saying this in a derogatory way, he's still a baby. He's figuring himself out. I think Lawson has a better sense of where he needs to be to perform at his best. That's my thing.
He's a pro. Gut feeling when you get, because I'm a Mekhi Becton supporter, so like it's like personal a little bit. I have to admit, like part of the reason why I want to see him dominate is because I want the haters who have crossed the line and gone out of bounds to eat their words. But when I saw the video of him stretching and I saw the pictures, inside my head, my gut was like, oh my God, he looks a lot bigger than I like him to look. I don't know. I know he's not an underwear model. Offensive linemen are big, gnarly, nasty people. He just looked heavy to me.
It looked better when he stood up. And but when
it wasn't from 100 yards away, like it wasn't from across the field.
Can I eyeball the difference between 350 and 380 on cell phone footage? Probably not. But that thought did cross my mind. So I was just wondering if maybe I just had a weird angle or something.
Yeah, no, it's hard to tell exactly. I mean, because I've seen other pictures of him where he looks great. So I don't know. I mean, let's see what he looks like in camp when we're actually watching him and he's standing there in a football uniform next to the other guys in the huddle, and it'll be very obvious,
right?
And we'll see how he plays. I do want to mention that I know he had some games where he got hurt during his first year and got banged up a little bit. And then he had the unfortunate, Van Rotten incident. But in college, he only missed 1 game. So he was very reliable. He was able to stay healthy. So it's not absolutely out of the question that he can now play 5-6 years in a row and average, 17 games a year healthy. I mean, it's not out of, the spectrum of possibility. He may have just ran into, this was just the rut of his life, like where he got banged up a little the first year, and then had this horrible, unfortunate thing happen last year. And that's what we're hoping that this, obviously that's what we're hoping, that it was just a freakish kind of bad little run for him. And he's going to come back and he's going to be a reliable play every game kind of guy. But I think I think we're going to be on edge for both of them. I think that, I think either one, whether it's Lawson or Becton, those are probably 2 of the guys I worry most about staying healthy and staying on the field.
One of the best things that we can, the biggest thing we can really hope for to see at the beginning of training camp, Becton, Lawson, head to head. Let's go head to head again. Be ready. Can Lawson dominate Becton again? Let's see what happens. That will be, if we can at least have that storyline, we can feel good. No matter who wins it, no matter who loses it.
What we
want to hear, 2 guys are ready to go.
What we want to hear is they're going at it. And like they're both having wins, it rotates play to play. That's what that's the only thing you could hope for in all the matchups for your team in a practice. You don't want one guy to lose every time,
like the offense and defense did today. You heard a little bit of both. Like Zach was doing well, but then in the red zone, the defense stepped it up a little bit. Sauce Gardner had the pick 6 for 100 yards. It's like, okay, that's good. I mean, are you trying to make me feel down because Zach threw an interception? I'm not. At least the defense is actually doing something right. So that's good.
Yeah.
You want to hear about different guys stepping up and making big plays.
Right.
So.
Right. You don't want to hear Zach is just win. I mean, it's great on the Zach front. If he's winning, he's winning, he's winning. But then you start to worry and say, well, what about Sauce and Reed? I thought we were going to have a good secondary. And to hear that then they stepped up and Sauce made a big play, you're right. That's what you want, it to be a back and forth thing. You want both sides of our team to be great, which means they're going to make the other side look bad on plays.
it felt like forever. I mean, going back to I don't know how long. I mean, the defense was always ahead of the offense during the preseason. I mean, going back to the Mangini days, it's like when is the offense ever going to score a touchdown? And it's August 25th, and we haven't scored a touchdown. It felt like we would have preseasons like that where we could not score to save our lives, and if we did, we'd probably have a penalty on it. So, yeah, if you get that back and forth, that is a good sign. And complimentary football, the latest football cliche, but it is the truth. If the defense plays that well, if they're sacking the quarterback, if they're forcing turnovers, that helps the offense that much more with having a short field where they don't have to drive the ball 85, 90 yards like they did so often last year. And that's going to make life a whole lot easier for this whole team.
Well, turnovers are the biggest wild card for this Jets football team, and that's something that, I mean, the law of averages just has to turn in our favor. I've made the point like a million times. Like, I can't remember the last time we recovered a gosh darn fumble. NFL, these quarterbacks are about to play. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Josh Allen twice, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. They're too good to just line up first, second, third, sometimes fourth down and get them off the field. You have to steal possessions, and you have to get, you have to start possessions in field goal range sometimes. You got to do it to be competitive. And I feel like now it starts with the front that can make quarterbacks uncomfortable. So we'll see.
Oh, my God. I'm actually looking at our fumble recovery stats from last year. Oh, my God.
I don't want to hear it.
Are you sure? I'm gonna tell you anyway because it's just so embarrassing.
Oh, man.
Right.
Okay, we recovered. I'm actually trying to process this right now. Okay. We had 13 fumble recoveries last season. Okay, one player had 3 fumble recoveries. Guess who that player was?
JFM?
No, it was Zach Wilson. It was an offense. It was our own fumble. Do I need to say anything else? We had 2 players with 2, Michael Carter and Sheldon Rikins. Okay, we got 1 defensive player on there. And then with 1 fumble recovery each, you have just a list of guys who will be in the Ring of Honor within a few years, I'm certain. Delshon Phillips, Ronald Blair, Shaq Lawson, Ryan Griffin, Trevon Wesco, and Corey Davis. I rest my case, Your Honor.
I think Corey Davis recovered his own fumble too.
He did. Most of those are offensive fumble recoveries.
Oh, that's bad.
All I can do is laugh.
Who said our tight ends didn't have good hands?
When the ball's on the freaking ground, they're stellar.
Yeah, they're really
How did
good.
Tyler Croft not have one? That's my question. Zach Wilson, 3 fumble recoveries. Hey, that's our goal. We want a defensive player to be our number 1 fumble recovery performer. That's what we really need this year.
That'd be great. Hold on to the football was actually something Zach Wilson did.
Wow.
For a guy who was hit as often as he was, to only have 5 fumbles, because out of all the guys who were sacked 40 or more times, every other quarterback had 10 or more fumbles. Zach Wilson had half that many. Justin Fields, for example, with less snaps, had 12. And then, Zach with the 11 picks, but you're talking 4 out of the 11 coming, actually 6 out of the 11, so more than half of them came in 6 quarters against New England and Denver, 2 top 7 defenses in his second and third game, respectively. So he struggled to do a lot of things, but he respects the value of a possession, and he really took care of the football. If anything, I wanted to see him be more aggressive and try and take more chances, which I think now he will. But I think that was the ball security was a really underrated part of the game, because the fumbling, to me, that's something you either have or you don't. Quarterbacks who have fumbling problems in college and as rookies, Daniel Jones, he's going to fumble his whole.
Yep.
He's going to be Danny Fumbles forever. So having those sticky hands, that's a talent to me, and he has that, and that's really important.
I mean, running backs can get better at fumbling the football, but quarterbacks, it's really not something that they get better at because they're so focused on learning the offense, building chemistry with these players. Tiki Barber became a lot better once Tom Coughlin became his head coach. Coughlin showed him how to hold the football correctly, and his fumbles, they decreased quite drastically.
Sometimes it's a mental thing with the running backs too.
Well, with quarterbacks, it's kind of what you were talking about before, Watts. Okay, you're born with an instinct, it's hard to teach or develop, right? I mean, instinct is just something that's given to you. And I think part of when you're in the pocket and someone's coming from behind, and I think there's a reaction time. There's just an instinct of protecting the ball that's hard to teach, because you look at a guy like Daniel Jones and you see that it doesn't improve. You get behind him and you hit his arm, he's fumbling. And it's like he has no ability to start to learn how to feel it or to feel the, and react to it. And Zach does, and
Yes.
it's not, it's just an ability some quarterbacks have. They're able to protect the ball. They feel it coming.
Yep,
And
that
Tom
split
Brady
second
and Tom
before.
Brady fumbles, but the refs will just reverse it anyway. Doesn't matter.
Right.
But that's another
Yeah.
story.
That's totally fine. But you're right. It was very rare. Like, I know Zach, he held the ball too long, and the pocket awareness has to be better. But it was very rare. It seemed like where he got blindsided and he didn't feel the pressure at all. He's got that third eye.
The escapability,
Yeah.
like a Roethlisberger has, or you name the guy. Yeah, he has that. That's one of the best. That could help save your career. That can help help you endure, because he's not a quarterback who, I don't want to say wants to run, but they don't want him running. They're not going to call RPOs for him.
No.
That rarely happened. So part of me would like to see it a little bit more, wanted to see it more last year, but now they don't really have to, because he has so much more to work with than he did before. Last year I wanted to see an RPO. This year it's just like once in a while, maybe, but
third down, goal
less
line,
than that.
gotta have it, sure. But we're not gonna call on first down a quarterback design run rollout like they do with Josh Allen. That's not happening. I know he's put on some weight, but he just doesn't have the frame to do that. And even the Bills, I don't think they should be doing that with Josh Allen as much as they are, honestly.
No. If we have a 3rd and 1, hypothetical, let's say we have a 3rd and 1, we need to get a first down to win a game. Who do you want to give the football to?
Jeremy?
A 3rd and 1?
Just hypothetically, like a 3rd and 1, we need to get like a first down to win the game. We got a couple of running backs. Who does it make sense to give the ball to?
I know he's never taken it. I mean, look, if I would have been fine with the play that they wanted it to be, and for it to be a sweep kind of thing, like a surprise play to our guy Berrios, because he always executes every time and he's so reliable. But if we're going to just give it to one of our running backs, I'm giving it to Breece Hall.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Breece Hall, and I'm going to send him to behind wherever Laken Tomlinson is.
I would send him behind ABT. I don't know. I guess I just wonder more and more what Michael Carter's role is going to be. And, it does concern me a little bit.
Michael Carter, I have a random kind of, not too sexy of a stat prediction, but I saw Jeremy's bold prediction, so I started jotting down some of mine. And I think one of them is that Michael Carter leads the NFL in yards per carry. I think he'll have a reduced load of volume, but I think he's going to be him averaging 4.3 yards a carry, in that offense last year is really damn impressive. So you're talking about adding Becton, Tomlinson, ABT is going to be better. Obviously, now the defense has to respect all kinds of other weapons. Can he go from 4.3 to somewhere around 5.3 and be tops in the league among running backs? Obviously, it's a bold take, so I wouldn't bet on it. But I don't think it's crazy.
Why would it be crazy? I mean, you're right. As a rookie, he was like one of the top running backs in the league of yards after contact. The guy, I mean, there's no reason or argument to not take him very seriously as being one of the great running backs of yards after contact. I mean, he did it. He showed it as a rookie. So he's the real deal. I mean, it's, he was doing it. He was and like you said, on that offense. I mean, the first half of the season, our offensive line was just, it was a shambles.
Right. Oh. Yeah, he's slippery. The first guy, and if I'm not going Breece Hall between the tackles, I don't mind a little. You fake it up the middle and then pitch it to Michael Carter and let him beat a linebacker to the sideline. He's got really good balance and nifty feet on the boundary.
Yeah.
5.3 yards a touch.
5.3 and 2 yards. Yeah, 2 yards before contact, 2.3 after contact.
That more yards at that. Wow,
more
that's
yards
crazy.
after which says a lot about the offensive line.
So that's the anti-Frank Gore stat.
Thank you. Well said.
Yeah, like look. When you consider the way the offensive line played, these numbers are very, very impressive. I'm so excited about this running back tandem because it's like, yeah, with Brees Hall, I know he's super special, but I was very excited about Michael Carter last year before he got hurt. I was very excited. I was thinking, oh my God, we
Love
might
him.
have a top
I'm gonna
eight
keep.
quarterback.
I'm
You
gonna
know?
keep waving the Michael Carter flag because I hate that he's like getting forgotten about. Same for like Bryce Hall and all these guys. You know, it's like I want to keep waving the flag for these young men. So
Yeah.
Well, I like
good.
Michael Carter so much that I didn't know much about Brees Hall until he was drafted by the Jets because I kind of had penciled running back in for the 4th or 5th round because I was confident we had running back 1 and Michael Carter.
Right. Makes sense. I was wanting like a Jerome Ford or a Damian Pierce. I mean, in an article I put Jets targets that I would not want in the draft. I listed Brees Hall as one of those players. You know, and I make no apologies for it. But you know, he's a Jet now. Let's see what happens. I hope it's the right pick. But with what they did to get him, the expectation is simple and it is clear. I want him to be the best running back from this class, and nothing else than that is going to be acceptable.
Yeah, and he's going to
That's
be. I'm excited to see him play because, you know, I'm not going to do the whole thing where we have to disrespect a bunch of other really good Jets running back and say, is he going to be the best running back since you know who? Because, you know, Thomas Jones did run for 1,400 yards on this team. But I
Chris
think,
Ivory.
I mean, who runs harder than Chris Ivory? I mean, my God.
No one. Marion Barber, God rest his soul. He's like the only other one that I would.
And Marshawn Lynch in the Buffalo years, maybe. But
yeah,
I mean, my goodness. But Brees Hall stylistically, you know, 6 foot, 220, the long gaping strides. That I haven't played Madden in him forever, but he's got all the buttons, the soft hands. He's going to look like a different animal, someone we haven't seen since 28. I really believe that. And I know Y2K, you're not too sold on his spin moves, right? Is your big thing on him?
Well, I mean, that's what I hope they work in the pros. They look pretty in college, but will they work in the pros? You know, because that was how he seemed to elude defenders. He wasn't outrunning them from what I could see. He wasn't. I never saw like a good stiff arm. The biggest thing that he could do, the spin moves, and when he has the blocking in front of him, which I do believe he should have with the Jets, he can see the space, he can see the hole, and go for it.
Yeah, the vision is excellent.
He's very smart. He has very good vision. That's why I see some Le'Veon Bell in him. So
he makes himself.
Yeah. I just hope he can get yards after contact. I guess that's my thing with him in the pros. Will it work in the pros?
He makes himself very skinny. I also do like that he is able to stop, adjust, and go in a very explosive way. Now that's something that we have to see if it's going to translate in the NFL, because there are going to be quicker defenders. So you have to be able to do that. But I like the way he could be in the middle of a situation. It's not there, and he could break a different direction. And after he makes that break, he's again like, that's why I like the kind of players we're getting, like Garrett Wilson, just could stop and go again, and such an explosive burst to get to that top speed so quickly. But again, that I definitely acknowledge that has to be seen from college to the NFL. Like, will that translate?
Yeah, you know, with the defense, they talked about so often they want violent players on defense. And more they've been bringing more players like that in on defense. And I'm trying to figure out, what am I seeing in the offense? What are they looking for in these offensive players? And I think this is the offseason where we started to see explosiveness. I feel like last year was, you know, with guys like Corey Davis, like with Michael Carter, you know, you see good players, very good players. Elijah Moore could very well be that as well. But I think this year with Hall, with Wilson, we are seeing guys who can really open up this offense even more to a very, very different level. And it almost scares me that I'm saying this because I'm worried I'm getting my expectations so high that they can't even be met, because it's like we're expecting all these guys to just grow and everybody's going to have a fantastic year. It's like, you know, some people will live up to our expectations, but inevitably some guys will wish they could have done a little bit more. So I guess I'm just trying to be a little bit cautious. Just
Get
'cause
your
I'm so used to my
expectations up,
disappointment.
Y2K.
They're
Get 'em
there,
up, man.
but
Get 'em
they
up.
can't be there for everybody. Like when I saw one comparison, Brees Hall, I see Barry Sanders. I'm like, okay, slow down.
No, well, certain
There's
guys
only
are
one
off
Barry
topic
Sanders.
for
That's the
pro
best of
comps.
ever.
You know, Jerry
Yeah.
Rice, Barry Sanders, LT. You know, there's certain guys who you just can't go there. I do think Brees Hall is one of those guys who he's going to come out the box ready to go. I think him and Sauce are going to come out the box and be really above average starters right away.
I can
Where
see that.
JJ, if you're expecting double-digit sacks out of Jermaine Johnson year one, you're going to be disappointed. If you're expecting 1,000-yard season out of Garrett Wilson year one, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Jeremy Ruckert, we got two tight ends who are just flat out better than him right now. But those to me are the two guys really high impact. Like week one, you're going to be like, all right, we got a ball player here.
Yeah.
No argument for me. And speaking of the chat we just highlighted, how did we go this long and not mention the GOAT, Michael Clemens? Where are priorities?
Yeah, let's not forget that Michael Clemens, like his draft position, had to do with some other things other than his play and his possible ability. He could have been a second round pick. Like he could have been a higher pick. This is a guy that had to go also around the whole cycle of last chance you and this and that, and got into some trouble for this and that. But where he's from and what he got in trouble for are not tremendous character questions or anything like that. So, and he looks like a high character person to me. And
I think the age was a factor too. He's 25.
Yeah, the age. But I have a lot of hope for Michael Clemens that he could be more than just a guy that makes the team. I think he might be a real contributor.
There will be somebody on the defensive line who we are right now all but assuming is going to be on the team. It's like an afterthought. There will be at least one cut on the defensive line that is going to shock the majority of Jets Nation. I'm not saying who it's going to be, but there will be at least one cut that is going to be very surprising. My initial thought is Vinny Curry.
Yep, I was going to say, I'll tell you who. That's my guy too.
That's who I'm thinking right now. He's got to prove it.
Yeah. I love Vinny. I love him that's bad news for Vinny, but what great news for the Jets, because there was a brief moment in time before Carl Lawson went down and Vinny Curry went down, where after the Carl Lawson injury, Vinny Curry we were looking at to be our top edge rusher last year.
Yeah.
And now,
bless him, but yeah.
I mean, obviously, so Lawson, JJ, and Jacob Martin to me are locks. Jacob Martin, he's going to be the first edge defender off the bench. He's a starter in this league. He got a good amount of money. He's on the team. Then Michael Clemens, a 4th round pick, he's going to be on the team. So you're probably talking about it coming down to maybe Vinny Curry and Bryce Huff of who's healthier, honestly.
Yeah, because to me, Bryce Huff was never quite right after he hurt his back last season.
But you show me a little bit of that speed. You flash, we all remember Maben, right? You flash a little bit of that speed off the edge. Ooh, people will keep you around.
Especially in this league, because you can never have enough pass rushers. It's true. That's the gospel truth.
I want to say, welcome Defense Wins Championships. Thank you for your a lot of activity in the chat, and I hope that your enthusiasm and belief in these players is spot on. I hope you are right. You're saying some big things about these players of ours, and I can't say it enough. I hope you're 100% correct. I hope you're on the ball. I hope that what you're saying about Brees Hall and Jermaine Johnson, I hope all these things come to fruition. Believe me.
Love it, my guy. This is my guy too, and I love DWC because we disagree on just about everything, and we'll go back and forth about Twitter. But he'll always throw some stats in there, and then at the end of us like going back and forth, he'll say, by the way, love what you do. Keep grinding, bro. Go Jets. So it's like we'll just completely like disagree, but it's like always all good at the end.
Yeah. We all want to go. We all want to arrive at the same destination.
Right.
We just have different travel plans on how to get there.
Hey, and when we disagree on a player, like I think this player is really good. I don't think he's as good, or one of us is higher than the other on a player. We both should be rooting for the person who's higher on the player to be right.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we're Jets fans. And we want everybody in a Jets uniform to be the best possible.
I want Brees Hall in the freaking Ring of Honor in 20-25 years. I want that. No, my pride, screw pride. It means nothing. I want to see success. I want to win championships. I want to have a dynasty. I want to get all of us together and meet you guys at the freaking Super Bowl parade. I would love for that to happen. That is more important than anything else when it comes to being a fan. Taking this ride together and ultimately celebrating the good times together. You know,
I gotta just do one thing really fast for Gilbert, okay?
Go ahead.
Sleeping on Elijah. I'm gonna play you a few seconds of this clip just so you understand, Gilbert. I am the last person that would ever sleep on Elijah. Oh yeah, go. Amazing, that's my boy. That's my boy.
He breaks away from it.
Okay.
I knew it was coming too.
Boy.
Half the time I'm like, is that Jeremy, one of Jeremy's brothers, but Jeremy's just doing the voiceover?
Elijah Moore, that's the one offensive, like, the projecting the offensive stats on this team is like kind of futile. But to me, the one thing I feel confident in is if Elijah Moore plays, close to 17 games, 15, 16, 17 games, I think he hits 1,000 yards, and everything else is kind of a crapshoot to me.
Yeah, I think Elijah Moore is like definitely my, and I say position player because it's Zach Wilson, obviously quarterback. We need him to step up. But when you say who's going to be our breakout player, not including Zach Wilson, and just because I think and you all know I love Zach Wilson and I believe in him, but I'm saying I just want to, if I pick a positional player, I'm all about Elijah Moore. He's my guy that's going to be the 1,000-yard plus, over 75 receptions. Like, it's hard to predict receptions just because we have so many weapons and we're supposed to be, if everything's going well, a running team. So it's hard to predict numbers like that aren't even possible. So let's just say impact player in the passing game. Like, who's the target going to be that changes the team and changes the whole, look of our offense from the perspective of the passing game? It's going to be Elijah Moore. He's going to be that magical guy this year.
He's special, man. He's special. And I know it's one of those things where it's like, it feels like one of those things where you look at him, he had 500 yards. He was a second-round pick. And it looks like casual Jets fans are trying to make a Hall of Famer out of a pretty good player. But I'm telling you, that short. So the span between, his quote-unquote short start, which wasn't or slow start, which wasn't a slow start. There's this article that I found way later, but Michael Nania from X Factor wrote it about 6 weeks into last season, and he broke it down, and he showed the film. Elijah Moore was wide open all day long, and for many factors, including a shaky offensive line, a rookie OC, a rookie quarterback who couldn't, learning to get through his reads, and they show the footage. Carolina, an up and out route, he's gone 70 yards. The Mike White game, Mike White had a great game. He also overthrew Elijah Moore by 8 yards when there was nobody near him in the end zone. He was cooking all year. Then he hits that stretch where the backups come in, guys who could actually, lower ceiling, but could get the ball in the right spot. Joe Flacco. If you extrapolate that 6-game hot streak over 17 games, that's a 1,300-yard season. And okay, you can cherry pick stats however way you want, but I think like that's a better barometer. That's a better sample size because that's when we had a professional quarterback throwing him the ball. So if Zach Wilson can be that professional quarterback in year 2, he's going to cook. I mean, when you watch him on film, when he comes out of his break, it's like a cartoon where like he stops and like the Flintstones, like everybody else keeps moving. And that stop and start, that Antonio Brown has, that shiftiness, man, I love it.
I mean, I see some of those moves that he did, and also Tyler Conklin with those starts and stops. And guys, I run races. If I try to do that, I blow my quads right out of my legs. I know that. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable.
I'd stumble like a Looney Tune.
You know what I really see in Elijah Moore at this point? Future team captain. Go back and listen to his press conference if you haven't today. He will inspire you. He will get you going. He will make you. I told Joe Blewett, this guy will make you want to run through a freaking wall. He believes in this team so much.
look
You can tell he means it. Go ahead, Jeremy.
look how he's helped his AJ Brown. I mean, that's someone who's older, who's in the
Oh.
league, and AJ Brown
yeah.
says this kid saved my life. I mean,
Eh.
it's like it's like Elijah Moore is his rock. So this is the kind of person we're talking about. We're talking about a person who, someone who's 2 years older, already established in the NFL, and he already has on his resume as a leader and as a person. Elijah Moore has this on his, already has accomplished this, that is being called by somebody like AJ Brown as his savior, saying this is the person who really saved me from a bad place.
We should all have been that mature at like 23, 20, 22, 23 years old, right? But what did DWC say about? He said something about Elijah and his stats and what he did. Where was that comment? Elijah Moore broke the all-time Old Mississippi single-season record for receptions, 80 plus in only 8 games. Well, you know why that was, right, guys? They spent all their time focusing on the greatness of Kenny Yeboah. They were double teaming him, and it left Elijah Moore wide open, just dominate. That's what it was.
Although Kenny Yeboah is about to lose his job to the next Calvin Johnson and Lawrence Cager, which we all know.
That is true. That is very true. The heat's on, Kenny. We love him, but hey, we'll always have that one great preseason touchdown, which was against Philadelphia. So, let's see what happens.
And Lawrence Cager will be healthier, 25 pounds heavier, I'm sure, than he was playing wide receiver.
If he can stay on the field, because we know durability is his biggest problem. So let's hope it works.
Hey, I got a question for you. You mentioned the 4th and 1 thing. So obviously we would all take Elijah Moore in a passing down. So I'll give you some other names. So say it's 3rd and 6, gotta have it. Would you rather be targeting which of the? I'll give us 3 names. We'll say Corey Davis, Garrett Wilson, Tyler Conklin.
I'll start with that and right off the bat say Conklin, just based on percentage of catches, for balls thrown his way.
It's interesting. When you first asked the question, my first thought is, I hope he gives me a tight end option here.
Yeah.
and then I thought, is he going to give me 2 tight ends here? Because my first thought would have been CJ. That's where I really would have liked to have gone. But yes, I would agree with Jeremy for the reasons he said. I would go Conklin. But guys, I got to tell you, I think we're sleeping on CJ. I really like him. Just saying, don't forget Michael Carter and CJ Uzomah. Those are the guys I'm going to keep bringing up because I think they're being overlooked a little bit. So,
well, CJ, he's definitely going to be great, regardless of like the play on the field or the numbers. He's going to be a great leader and great fire in the huddle and on the sideline, and he's going to bring us that winning edge, that attitude of, he's the guy I wish was on the field when they took that cheap shot on Zach. That's who I wish was on that field, because
the best part is they wouldn't even have done it if him and Laken Tomlinson were on the team.
Exactly, Buffalo. As soon as you said it, I thought Laken Tomlinson. Same thing.
Yeah, Laken Tomlinson is a pit bull, man. Him and I really wanted the Marcus Williams, the safety, but him and Laken Tomlinson being my first 2 wants in free agency, and that being the first signing, just what a statement pick to prioritize the trenches. Love Laken Tomlinson. You're right about CJ Uzomah. I mean, I think Tyler Conklin's like the flashier new toy. CJ Uzomah's like presidential, and I'm an MMA guy, so Tyler Conklin, the tattoos, the man bun, the beard, he looks like my kind of people. So I'm partial to his vibe. I'll admit that.
Okay, fair point. CJ is a little bit more of like all around, a little more by the book, a little more traditional. Conklin's a little flashier. Okay, I could see that.
Yeah, Conklin's got a really I knew almost nothing about him before we signed him because it was now I even forgot his name. Who's the Dalton Schultz, right? Schultz, Trey McBride. Dalton Schultz, Trey McBride for 3 months. Tyler Conklin, I mean, Jeremy mentioned it, like a 2% drop rate, best pass blocking tight end in the league. The yak ability. I don't know. This guy is a real, and I know the stats last year don't match what you'd think you'd see out of that skill set, but I think like him and DJ Reed are guys we caught like right on the beginning of their upswing, right at 24, 25 years old.
And that is something the Jets never did. I mean, seriously, I feel like most teams I root for, regardless of the sport, this is not the free agency approach I'm used to seeing. I'm used to every free agency, all the free agents. It's like we get them 1 year too late, 2 years too late. It's their second contract or their third contract. And Joe Douglas puts his, sticks the flag in the ground and says, absolutely no, I'm drawing the line. This is the type of player that we want. We are building something here. We're not interested in 1 year mercenaries. Now, there may come a time when we are that playoff contender and we're looking for just one more piece, and it might make sense to sign player X for 1 year, maybe that wide receiver or that pass rusher or that safety, like Eric Weddle, right? Then I think it was the Rams they signed Weddle.
Yep.
Yeah, that kind of a thing might make sense. But right now, while we're building something, now is not the time to do it. And that's why it may not have made much sense for us to make the Tyreek Hill trade, because now is not the time, or the Deebo Samuel trade. You never know who's going to be available next year, but you're still developing your foundation. You have to do that before you put the antenna on top of the skyscraper.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight's always 2020, of course, and I was here for the Tyreek Hill saga. I was excited, it was breaking while I'm at work, looking at my phone. But in hindsight, to pay a guy until he's 32, whose game is fully based on speed, the contract Tyreek Hill got is the same exact contract we were talking about the Jets giving Kirk Cousins 3-4 years ago. He got quarterback money, and I think what you saw this offseason told you that there's a lot of smart people in the NFL who believe there's a bubble in the wide receiver market that's going to crash. That Christian Kirk was a perfect example of. And who were the sellers in the wide receiver market? Who sold? The Kansas City Chiefs were sellers. The Green Bay Packers were sellers. The Baltimore Ravens were sellers. Who was buying? The Raiders, the Cardinals, the Dolphins, the Jaguars. So which side of that would you rather be on? I'd rather be selling.
Sellers
I'd
market.
rather have Garrett Wilson on a rookie contract. Obviously to even put him in the same sentence as Tyreek Hill, but the money matters. Having him making whatever it is, $5 million a year versus Tyreek Hill making quarterback money, I have no regrets about how that turned out and where we are at wide receiver.
100% agreed.
There you go.
I did not want us giving our number 10 pick and whatever and then having to pay $30 million a year for Deebo. I was not into it. It's not that I wouldn't have been excited, because Deebo's a great player, but it's not the way I wanted this team or see this team be built. I'm for what we've been doing the last couple of years, and that's not saying let's take all of our marbles and put it in one guy, $30 million, and then not be able to pick up this guy Reef as a swing tackle if we're able to get him, or not be able to pick up Juniga or Quan Alexander. Like, I like cap flexibility and I like value. And I think that Garrett Wilson and having him now on the cheap for 4 to 5 years and developing him is much better value than paying $30 million to a wide receiver like Tyreek Hill, by the way, who might have already seen his best days. It's a very solid chance that he's seen his best days, that he's never going to have the glory or the numbers that he ever had in Kansas City going to Miami, especially when you consider the fact he had Mahomes throwing him the ball, that he had Andy Reid as head coach, and now he's going to Tua. So that, to me, most of the time in these kind of situations, the player never is as good as they were on the previous team where they became a star.
No. Whenever a player gets a record-setting contract, they almost always, slightly underperform. It's just hard. Even if you're working at 85, 90% of that hunger, that training, that you were to get that bag, that's enough of a difference at this level. And again, a guy whose game is just based on speed, to pay him. I think that fourth year when he's 32, paying him $30 million. And to me, Jeremy, it's not just the money. If Tyreek Hill was a free agent, I'd give him $30 million, no problem. But to gut the middle of your draft and fork over $120 million, ouch.
Well, that's
a gut punch.
That's the thing I don't understand what teams do. It's the double paying. It's like you get
not doing that unless it's a quarterback,
right? You get that every year. You get free agents that you could pay a lot of money to, but you're going to pay a lot of money and give away the picks? I just don't understand that. I don't get it.
It's like people are getting a little bit too Rams happy all of a sudden because they see the trades that the Rams made. They want a Super Bowl. It's like, we need to trade. The draft is over. It's almost like they're getting Ram happy or something like that.
Yeah.
Except they're not making intelligent trades.
Well, a better sample size is to watch the Baltimore Ravens, who have been doing it for 2 decades, just building through the draft. And,
oh my God.
Or Pittsburgh.
Green Bay.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, all the teams that are good year after year for over a decade, year after year. They
Seattle
don't
for a while.
They don't do it by paying the big name players. And as soon as Seattle did and went against what they did originally to build that team, and they traded all that for Jamal Adams and gave him $17.5 million for a safety you can't catch. What happened to their team?
There's a middle ground though, because I feel like there are teams like a Green Bay where it's like sometimes it's like they don't make that just one free agent move each year that could kind of gotten them over the hump.
Yeah.
And to have Aaron Rodgers, I don't like him as a person, but to have him only wearing one ring, the organization's got to wear some of that.
Well, the Rams are a good example of build a team and then put
your chips in the middle of the table.
Yeah.
And if you just get one ring and then you go into rebuild mode, shoot. I mean, we had 10 years of travesty of football and no ring. So, whatever. I think they've gone a little bit to the extreme with the them picks. Imagine if they hung on a John Franklin Myers though on that defensive line. Oh my God.
Oh, the Rams?
Yeah.
Boy. Yeah. Von Miller, who? We got JFM.
I think that there's a balance, and we've seen successful teams do it. There's a balance of build your team, and then it's the when you go out and pay the big money.
Unfortunately, the best example is the Patriots.
Yeah.
They'll go get Seymour. They'll go get Revis. They'll go
Randy
get
Moss.
They'll go get that missing piece.
Yeah, that's how you do it. That's how you do it.
Bring back Jamie Collins like 5 times.
Yeah. And in 2 years from now,
and he's still 25.
Unbelievably, even though he looks 55, but
he's getting younger.
I can
he's like the case of Benjamin Button in reverse.
I could see us winning 8 or 9 games next year. If that happens, and then the year after that, we're a playoff team and we fall short. Then you might say, now if there's a glaring hole, this is where you make the big move.
There you
this
go.
Is where you fill that missing piece.
Well, we don't really have the draft capital built up at this point anymore. So I think if I remember correctly, we've got our first 5 picks and we have 2 6s next year.
Thank you, Blake Cashman.
Because of the Cashman trade, exactly, which is my God. But yeah, in terms of trading up, it gets a little bit more. We don't quite have all the resources that we did before. So now we have to make what we have. It really has to count. So we'll see now if Joe. I don't think we're going to trade up like we did before, not to look to next year's draft. But you wonder if he's going to take what he has or if he's going to trade down, depending on where this team is. It'll be interesting to see the draft approach going forward.
Yeah, I think we got to the point where we've added the elite young guys that we can develop. Obviously, this year will be telling too, because you have to see how they work out, and it could backfire. But if everything goes to plan, and these guys are who we think they are, my gut tells me the next part of the plan is to focus on depth and core, like just players that it's not about the elite players at this point. It's about now building that depth and being a
fine tuning.
53 men
and in due time, and we know Green Bean loves to talk about it. Comp picks might start to come now because as we let guys go in free agency, we might get some of those 3rd and 4th round comp picks. That's one of the best things New England's ever done. Even though they are not a good drafting team, they get these 3rd and 4th round comp picks, and they manage to find these players who may not become superstars, but they can become good depth players and keep them going, and they buy right in because they have the culture established. That's the kind of thing I want to see the Jets do.
I love that. And I think we have to also learn the value of draft picks now, because now in every future trade now saying, oh, that guy, we should give him a 2nd round pick. Well, that's a Joe Douglas 2nd round pick. That's worth more than the Idzik 12 all combined, right? So there's an exchange rate now. So, now I'm not with that them picks mentality. Why am I going to give away I mean, look at Bryce Hall in the 5th round. Both Michael Carter's in the 4th and 5th round. Before in previous Jets administration, on like a 5th round, a 3rd, 4th round pick, are Darius Stewart, Chad Hansen, Ja'Kai Polite, who always had great manners but never made it at a training camp. Yeah, I'm gonna hang on to the picks.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to mention some 23 draft stuff, but hey, we're rolling. We can only talk about formations and whatnot and stuff like that so many times. We have a long way to go till the season starts, so we're just all over the map right now. But hey,
People agree with you, Y2K, on the run. I will say that besides swing tackle, and I know that a 2-gapping nose tackle isn't a thing in our base, but rotationally, I'd like to add a body in here who can stop the run, because there's still situationally 3rd and 1, 4th and goal. You got to get somebody in here who can eat up space and stop the run. You still need that in today's NFL. And who we've called on to do that the last 2 years? Nathan Shepard. Nathan Shepard has played over 30% of the snaps on this team the last 2 years, and I'm just kind of done with that.
Yeah, that's why they kept him. That they keep him around. We let Foley go, and I didn't have an issue with that. But my hope was we would sign DJ Jones. That is who I wanted. He was either my 1st or 2nd free agent target, because I felt they needed that presence in the middle. Now our best run defender is really Quinn Williams. But, like you said, it will take a village. It's going to take a team effort. So, the question is, do you bring in an Ogunjobi, who's not known first for being a run defender, Quan Alexander linebacker, but also not known for being a run defender first?
There hasn't been a single really run defender linked.
There's no ideal answer for this. This is one of those situations we just have to get to the quarterback and hope we can contain those runs. And I'll tell you what, early on, Baltimore, Cleveland, we're going to find out very quickly. Pittsburgh with Najee Harris, this run defense, we're going to figure him out real fast.
And speaking of run defense, well, also there's a couple names out there, like Eddie Goldman is a guy, who's still one of the best free agent run defenders on the market. Hey, I'll tell you what, laugh at me all you want. It's 3rd and goal from the 1. Would you rather roll out Nathan Shepard or a 36 years young former Jet, Stevie McClendon? Easy choice for me on a 1-year deal.
Is Sheldon Richardson still available? I'd almost take him.
He is, but that's my one criticism, and you mentioned it before, Y2K. Not necessarily criticism, but it's something I gotta wait and see. My defense. 2 big critiques of this Saleh team this offseason was the weird snap count thing, which ended up being just a miscommunication, so we're good there. But then these safeties as linebackers, these 215-pound linebackers, I just, call me old school. I know we're more based on speed. I just would like some normal linebackers playing linebacker. If you want to draft a smaller, speedy linebacker, draft a smaller, speedy linebacker who played linebacker in college. If CJ Mosley goes down, and right now our backup Mike linebacker is, Hamza or Sherwood, who are 200.
I think it's Sherwood, because they give him like the communication, like they give him like the signals. So I think they look at Sherwood as that leader.
Yeah, who's licking their lips at that? That's the Cleveland Browns and Baltimore Ravens week 1 and 2. Would love to see that. With all due respect to the young man.
Minnesota with Dalvin Cook, watch out. Najee Harris with Pittsburgh.
I would like to sign another, like a backup linebacker to CJ Mosley. And if you want to go 4-2-5, if you want to have a smaller weak side linebacker, I would like to add another body so that at all times we could just have one traditional linebacker on the field. That's all I'm asking.
But I think we only have, in terms of cap space, we have $4 or $5 million left, something like that. It's not a whole lot of money. If we can only sign one player, where are we going? Are we right? Swing tackle, even though we're right. Our biggest concern is defense, but it's the depth of swing tackle. So it's just like, you know what? I'll take either one, whichever will take the contract. Let's just give it a shot. But I will say this. If they were to sign Ogunjobi, I would let Sheldon Rankins go, because I don't have any use for him.
His contract's guaranteed. That's the problem. Rankins is here.
I mean, it's just so redundant. I mean, why do we even sign Solomon Thomas? I feel like they're the same exact player in terms of what they do and where they play.
I agree with you. I'm out on Ogunjobi, and I know it feels crazy as a Jets fan to complain about too much depth, especially at pass rush. But at what point does good depth just end up being like a non-ideal allocation of resources. I mean, how many of these guys can even make the team? Larry Ogunjobi is a more talented Sheldon Rankins. They both have the same size, same skill set, and Larry Ogunjobi failed a physical. So, and the contract he had for the Bears was for like 12, 13 million a year.
Yep.
I'm not, it's got to be a minimum of half of that. I'm not coming close to that for him.
I would agree. And we talk about having the same players. Why do we have so many different types of wide receivers and to extent different types of tight ends? But it seems like we have the exact same defensive tackle. How did that happen?
I think because it needs the thing is they need to have all 4 guys on the front have plus pass rush capability. You can't have a guy getting consistent snaps who can't rush the passer, because then you're like rushing 3 on 5. So I think that's the kind of mold that they need. So it leaves us a little light against the run, and it leaves us a little one-dimensional.
And we don't want to blitz, and which is fine if we can.
Although
can get
with
to
the corners we
have,
man, I don't mind bringing 6 and having Sauce and Reed on an island and every now and then.
Well, who would we throw in as the blitzer? I mean, as a linebacker or a safety? I mean, Whitehead could probably do it, but
he could do it.
Yeah, or Quincy from the weak side.
I'd like to see some safety blitzes. They sent Michael Carter II on a couple of corner blitzes. I remember he had at least 1 sack last year, but you can't do that every game. So maybe more of a safety blitz as opposed, because I would see Whitehead do it a little bit more. I would like to see him in that kind of a role. Leo Chanel. It's like every draft we have like a player or two that is just like the one who got away, and right now it's Chanel. But we'll see how it goes. Kansas City's going to use him on the line. We were going to use him at linebacker. So
yeah, I was surprised to see that. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Well, like all his highlights is about rushing the passer. Like when we played his highlights, it was all about him getting to the quarterback, getting to the running back behind the line of scrimmage. It was all behind the line of scrimmage, kind of stuff. So I wasn't completely shocked when they said they were going to use him that way, like because just based on the highlights, the tape was like that's what was exciting about him was like he. Yep. Getting to the quarterback. But I want to welcome Slugo. He's a big green bean.
Sluggo.
I don't want to say I pronounce everything wrong. So but Sluggo is a big green bean guy. Been in the chat forever for Green Bean. Finally got him over here. Thanks for coming, buddy. Appreciate it. Vino, I want to point out, is back. We all remember Vino. I don't know if you do Buffalo, but he's hysterical, funniest guy. Has like a bit like. There was one night where he just had like 1 billion comments that were like
it was the Mother's Day. It was the Mother's Day marathon. I will never. He was one of the kings of the chair digs that night. He was right up there. Actually, it was between Buffalo. It was between you and Vino. You guys were just killing it that night. Yeah. You really were.
And Edward Ziff is here. We got a lot of late nighters. Dakota's been here like forever. Like Dakota was with me on Blewett show. We were watching Blewett show. Remember Dakota was like going at it with Aaron, the
Ravens fan.
Yeah,
Aaron the Ravens troll is what he is.
He's not so much a troll. He is, he is talking. I mean, he's not a troll in that he's not willing to have a real conversation and say things that are true about his team. It's just really odd to me that he goes on to different Jets channels. I mean, we're how many days away from the season? We're still a couple of months.
3 months away, yeah.
3 months away, and he's jumping on every Jets stream to say, I'll talk about the Ravens, and it just seems really weird.
I've seen a lot of that since the schedule release. It's so weird.
I never heard of him until 3 days ago, and now we see him everywhere.
Yeah.
He's reciting it's like he has his go-tos. It's like he has them saved on his clipboard or something like that. The entire starting 11, he just writes them down. Lamar and the score prediction. It's just like he says, okay, pull clip 2, paste, enter.
He's a cut and paster. He's a cut and paster.
Totally.
Troll.
Do you think he goes to week number 2, like whoever the Ravens are playing, like the Bills or whatever, and puts the same text?
At least they only have to deal with him for 6 days. We got to deal with him for another 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Plus. So. Yeah.
It was weird. I never saw with a non-divisional opponent, 2 teams that haven't had much to do with each other, but there was a lot of like, I think it's mainly because it's two teams who are like really excited about their season, probably. But a lot of Jets Ravens like social media beef after the schedule relief. It was kind of strange. I got a
It's
lot of guys
weird.
on my channel too, Ravens fans, like, Jets suck, and I'm like, do you think anyone,
Thank you for the
think
insight.
we know that better than anybody else in the world?
Is that
right?
your insightful breakdown? Is that we saw? And the funny thing is, I respect the Ravens a ton, as
Yeah.
much as like I have some friends where I live who are Raven fans, and they're great. But you have lug nuts in pretty much every fan base, ours included. So, Vino, get well, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Vino. Hey, if you should look for all the Jets YouTube content providers. Week 1, Buffalo will be there. Matt O'Leary, Green Bean, who's in here now. I saw you were up too, by the way. I look at my phone, Green Bean. I see you on Discord talking, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing up? But anyway, we'll tell everybody to look for the guy in the boot and say that's Vino, and we'll all give you a warm, like I'm sure all the guys will give you a warm welcome. If you're there week 1.
Yeah, hopefully we can all sign your boot. We'd be honored.
Yeah. And editing. I know that's all you're doing, man. Green Bean is never not editing. But that's why you have like the greatest freaking 45-minute video type, whatever vlog. I don't know what to call them. Because it's like, I don't know. It's just 45 minutes of greatness. That's what I'll say.
To do it like a 45, 50-minute monologue, that takes some
Long
time. I mean, I did a 15-minute today on the Corey Davis thing, and that was the longest one I'd ever did. And I'm like, wow, some people go 3 times this long with that. That's something else. Well, then again, let's get into the intelligent gripe, and then maybe then you cut out for like an hour. I don't know, but that one's 17 minutes. Okay, that's a good amount of time. And don't worry, we will be ready for tomorrow night. You don't have to worry about us.
Green Bean is plagued in his life as a perfectionist. So he will stay up for hours.
Here we go.
It's perfect. Like, I don't like the way my ass looks when I'm setting up my campground or my table in that little piece. I got to edit that out, like.
And here come the mosquitoes by the spotlight. Well, now that he has a house, hopefully that's not as much of a problem.
Yeah, but hey, we've broken the 3-minute mark. What is
all
that?
5 episodes tomorrow? I can't wait. Yeah, like we were saying, we just got to make sure that we're not all talking over each other. We got to make sure that we can make that work. So yeah, but I'm sure we'll have a plan in place. And I'm pumped to watch it with other Jets fans. This is going to be cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dakota. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I saw a bunch of new names that came in today that are in this chat. Bunch of new names. If you guys like the show, if you like what we're doing, do me a favor and hit the sub button. So definitely subscribe to the channel so you will know when we're back on and you can enjoy us again. Also, there's 2 other like the video, but there's also 2 other guys here. We all have channels, so definitely. If you're not already on a subscriber to Buffalo Jet Fan, you're not doing it right. So make sure that you are. And then Adam is just building up his channel, and I don't want to mess it up and talk about it when I don't know exactly what it's about. So I'm going to let Adam. Why don't you talk about it before we go?
All right, I appreciate it. So the channel is NY Sports Wicker Media. I decided to, so if you see me in the screen in the chat, my screen name is NY Sports Wicker Media. Also, when I'm writing articles, I'm actually posting those now, including the case for Corey Davis. And that's at use my screen name, nysportswickermedia.blogspot.com. And the link for that is in the description of the most recent video. Most of what I talk about is Mets, Jets, and Rangers. Right now, obviously, the Mets are going to be and the Jets are going to be the primary focuses. But, I'll never stop doing Jets content year round because I know it's the Jets fans you asked for the content. You asked me to do some videos. So I know that's what brought me to the dance. So that's why if you look at my logo, the New York Sports Wicker Media thing that I made, that's why I made the center of the circle a nice bright green. because because I wanted it to be Jets in the center because that's the core at the end of the day. So, check out the videos. Who knows where it's going to go? You never know. I might have some interviews on once I get all the technology figured out one of these years. And but I am very excited to have this outlet. I really, really am.
That's awesome. And
Awesome, man.
Buffalo, anything coming up? Anything you want to talk about before we go?
Just I don't know if I mentioned on your to your audience before, but I am in 2 weeks. I am launching a second channel for all NFL called BJF Football. Just because I noticed when I talk like other NFL people, kind of it's a Jets channel. You want to come talk Jets, but I'm a huge NFL fan, and I got other things I want to talk about. So that'll be coming in 2 weeks. So hopefully some of you guys can come over and sub up there, and that'd be pretty cool. It's gonna be really weird starting from like 0 subscribers and having a video get like 17 views again. That's gonna be kind of soul crushing, but I'm excited to build it back up from the ground.
17 views is a goal of mine at this point, so don't feel too bad.
Yeah, it's exponential though, man. I'm telling you, you'll be.
I totally understand. Do you have an idea? If I could ask, do you have a topic in mind for your first show?
I do, because I feel like I've seen a lot of after the playoff performance that Joe Burrow is a little maybe overrated and that he underperformed in the playoffs. So I'm gonna talk about that for my first video. I also love rankings and tiers, so I want to do like quarterback tier rankings, stuff like that. So I definitely am gonna have to be ready to eat it in the comments a lot more, because when you open yourself up to the entire NFL fan base, that's a big can of worms. And although it may not come across in my persona, I am a little sensitive still to the getting pegged in the comments. I'll admit it. I don't like when people say mean things about me. So we'll see how it goes.
Hey, Jeremy, be sure to plug your Twitter. People are asking about your Twitter handle.
Oh, they are? Okay. Thanks for letting me know that. I think I have it here on I think I set up. Oh, here it is. Let me show it. So yeah, guys, I've been working hard to build up my Twitter. Actually, a few months ago, I realized that I wasn't doing a good enough job on that and how important it is. So it's basically Jets Chaos at Jeremy Cravat 2, because I had a Jeremy Cravat account with all my friends, and it was kind of weird. And somehow I ended up with a second Twitter account. Now there's no way to merge them. So it's the Jeremy Cravat 2. You could follow me on my other one also. It's like, but I barely comment on it. It's more about just life to my friends and pictures of where I am and what I'm doing. But Jets Chaos at Jeremy Cravat 2 on Twitter. And I sometimes actually come up with some pretty funny comments. So
we'll decide on that, all right, if you don't mind.
I've come up with some good ones. Come on,
you've had a few good ones. Oh, and if anybody wants to, and of course, Buffalo Jets fans. So what's your Twitter handle? Let's all plug. Why not?
It is just exactly. So it's not without the. So it's just Buffalo Jet fan.
Okay, and for me, it's Wa2K_1999. That is my handle. It's not always all sports related, and that is where I tend to not have much of a filter. So be forewarned on that. And I can go into any subject on Twitter. You never know. So,
and by the way, guys, I always follow back whenever I see it like that, because the option to follow back when someone new has followed me. I always follow back, so you can DM me, say any feedback about the channel, anything you want to say privately. I open that up on Twitter for right now. Well, the dream is one day it'll be so much there's no way I could possibly handle it. But for right now, I answer back. I talk to everybody. So if you want to talk to me, follow me on Twitter, and I'll follow you back, and you can DM me all you want.
I do have one more thing that I don't want to jinx, but I can't help myself teasing a little bit. I have been in the DMs and have responded with and briefly chatted with a player currently on the Jets roster that has agreed in principle to come chat ball with me on the show this summer.
Wow. That's amazing.
Tell Thomas Hennessy we said hello.
He's been really cool, and I don't know if his personality seems a little maybe a little flaky. I don't know, but he said he's willing to do it, so we'll see.
Let's hope that works out.
A little flaky. Okay. Now I'm gonna start thinking about this.
So Sluggo,
that's an insult. He's just kind of a goes
Free
beat of his
spirit.
own drum. Yeah, it's not
Sluggo.
CJ, not as buttoned up as CJ Uzama. I'll say that.
Okay. Sluggo, we start at 10 p.m. every Wednesday. We start usually, I believe, at 10 on Fridays, right? I don't like, Fridays is more of just a hangout.
Friday goes all over the map. Yeah.
It's not always on my channel. Like we shift off. It could be on Proud New York Jets Fan. That's Nick Shine. Sometimes we do it on my channel. So Friday nights will be on. And then Sunday night, I go on at either 9 or 10. It just depends on what John from Jets Today is doing. Because I don't like to, so I look at what the other guys do. I don't want to overlap with them. So sometimes it looks like he's going to go late if he has a guest or I know he's having a big show. I'll wait till 10 on Sunday night. If it doesn't feel like he's going to have a big show, I'll start at 9:30. But that's why you hit the notification bell, man. Hit the notification bell so you'll know when I go live. But it's around 9-10 on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday nights. And then during the season, there'll be a lot of Sunday stuff going on. So we'll announce that. Like we already know that after week 1, 10 minutes after the Jet game ends, you go to Buffalo Jet Fan. You go to that channel, and we're going to have a panel there. We're going to be talking about the Jets games post game. So definitely check us out there.
Cool.
You won't want to miss it. It's still a long way away, but it's going to be quite the show. And we get to do it for 17 weeks, and hopefully more if we include the playoffs.
I'm excited for it.
It's going to be fun
because I feel like we're kind of the obviously there's the legends of the Jets content community, like Jet Central, and then there's the Jets Talk guys, and I feel like we're kind of like that second up and coming generation. So to be building that together, right, I think is gonna be pretty special. I'm excited.
I'm proud to be part of it, and I'm glad all of you in the chat. We're glad that you're taking the ride with us. So without you guys, there's not us. So we cannot thank you enough, and I mean that.
I appreciate it. And I know there's some of you who open my video and you hit like without even hearing what I have to say, and to that we thank you.
Take care, everyone. Good night. We'll see you soon.
Take care,
I would regret it if people look back at the first episode and you weren't on it.
Yeah, well, I like that. It's called forward thinking.
We have one of the worst beats in the world. We do. Our beat is horrible.
Connor could shove that article up his ass.
And then I went to that game and I was like, this is the greatest team I've ever seen in my life. I'm a Jet fan. This is going to be the greatest run ever. Yeah.
No, because if they take a Kwanu, I'm not complaining.
Joe Douglas is the king of keeping shit close to the vest.
A 2, a 4, and a 6 for Darnold.
Did the Jets really ruin Sam Darnold, or did Sam Darnold just suck all along and we were just trying to talk ourselves into it?
And Hamilton is a player who can potentially make a very big impact.
And suddenly here we are today. You can't get rid of him.
Right. It's like a plague.
Joe Douglas was hired because he's not those general managers.
Okay, Luscious.
Somebody is going to fall just like Elijah Moore did, just like Michael Carter did.
If you had one sentence to say to Joe Douglas, what would you say? So you would say, you had me at hello, and then give him a big old wet one right on the smack.